it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hearing a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hearing a bassline pumping. Listening on, boy. I hearing a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hearing a bassline pumping. Listening on, hey. I'm talking about science.
This is not a beer commercial. It's not a Carnival commercial either.
It's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict,
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here we do take care.
When it was just an idea
Or a plan,
A struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
and we still are there.
In the sweat
The tears, the laughter,
and the July sun, it's in our fabric
our founding to protect and support the very same idea.
of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
In the July sun, this is my story, this is my glory. Yeah, with you, I write my story, I find my glory. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Oh, Lord, wait. Party mash up, hey, now. Bring the rum and shake, now. Everybody, jump somebody, gather. Love up your pan now. Hey, hey, oi, hey, oi, oi. For the love of pan, oi, oi, oi. Hey, hey. If music down in deep pan yard, this vibes it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hearing a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hearing a bassline pumping. Listening on, boy. I hearing a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hearing a bassline pumping. Listening on, hey. I'm talking about science.
This is not a beer commercial. It's not a Carnival commercial either.
it's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict,
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here we do take care.
When it was just an idea
Or a plan,
A struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
and we still are there.
In the sweat
The tears, the laughter,
and the July sun, it's in our fabric
our founding to protect and support the very same idea.
of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
In the July sun, this is my story, this is my glory. Yeah, with you, I write my story, I find my glory. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to On the Spot on Asbot News Network. And I know most of you have become now expecting, looking forward to this program on a Sunday. And leading up to the program, we did a lot of coverage on Vincy Mas, and we got some really good reviews. The panelists were great, and some of those panelists who featured on all your programs are back with us today on the program, where we would be looking back at Vincy Mas post-mortem style. My name is Marlon Joseph, your host, and I have a beautiful young lady to my right as a co-host, and I'll just let her introduce herself, and then we would ask the panelists to introduce themselves as well.
Good afternoon, from the
This
diaspora.
is not a
I
beer
just like to
commercial.
extend
It's not a Carnival
my
commercial
thanks.
either.
It's a story. A story about a festival. A festival that was born out of conflict.
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
And the French.
somehow dismantle their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers. And around here, we do take care.
When it was just an idea
Or plan.
Okay, I think I'm going to start with Lester
and
coming
an
up.
idea of cultural unity, we were there.
And we still are there.
In the sweat
The tears, the laughter.
and the July sun.
You look a bit speechless. I know you're never
To protect
speechless, not
and
Lester.
support the very same idea.
But you can catch me up, yeah.
Faces.
This is our island.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Our beer.
My name is Lester Iroha, producer for
Is
Dimension Production.
Carnival.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sia Crease, and I'm the PR for Sign Hill Steel Orchestra. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon once again. Sean Tanner Brewster. I'm a mass man, and as you see, mass man. What do you call it? Export?
I'm
Ezzy Roberts. I'm the deputy chairman of the CDC and the coordinator of the
Rodney Small, member of the CBC Shows Committee, Director of Cultural Administration in the Department of Culture, Panis Entertainer.
This is our island.
Our people.
Our beer.
High Room is Carnival.
Culture and love my carnival, Vincy Mas.
Okay, thank you guys. And for you, our viewers on Facebook, remember you can send us your comments, your questions, and later in the program we would read some of those comments out live and also pose any questions that you may have to our panelists. And Santana, it's good to see you here. You're here earlier on the program, and we are reviewing Vincy Mas. And one of the things I really want us to look at is we'll be looking at CDC shows, private shows. But leading into Vincy Mas this year, there was this big discussion surrounding Mardi Gras. The mass bands crossing the stage at Victoria Park. Because last year, there was a new thing that was introduced where Little Tokyo was used. So I know that attracted a lot of discussion, a lot of public interest. And in the end, the mass bands got their wish, and Mardi Gras, when the crossing of the stage, returned to Victoria Park.
This
So I would
is
want to
not
start
a beer
with
commercial.
that.
It's not a Carnival commercial either.
So
It's a
Santana,
story.
I
A
know
story
that
about a festival.
you're
A festival that was born
pose
out
this
of
question.
conflict.
Where
What are your thoughts
Africans,
on
Indians, the British,
the
indigenous
return to
peoples
Victoria
and the
Park
French?
this year? How did that
somehow
go?
dismantle their differences
Well, I
to show
guess
rare unity
my
and
thoughts on
rare
it can
beauty.
come from
Such
two
a
different
precious
angles,
gift must have its
Because
caretakers. And
I see
around
it
here,
both
we do
ways.
take care.
When it was just an
From a
idea
mass
plan.
man point of
A
view,
struggling community,
and an
Victoria
idea
Park
of
is like the
cultural
theater
unity,
dream.
we were there.
And we still are there.
presentations
In the
from
sweat,
the
Roy-
tears, the
Roy
laughter,
Rafi
and the
Track,
July
Lex
sun.
Gonzalez,
It's in our fabric.
our founding to
crossing that
protect
stage.
and support the
And
very
me
same
personally
idea.
as a
Of unity
mass
behind our
producer,
many
Come
faces.
Carnival Tuesday, that is my theater. That is why I go and I showcase my talent. Now we have on the perspective of the masquerader. The masqueraders basically have a problem going into park with the delays and everything like that, right? That is from the masquerader point of view. They just basically want to come, pay their money, jump around town, and go back home. But
what those delays minimized this year? Were there delays?
They were minimized. In my opinion, they were minimized. I thought a lot of persons went into park early and they came out early. What I think some of the things that CDC need to look at is the amount of time that the sections actually stay on stage in order to minimize that. I think that would help out a lot. I know another suggestion I had spoken about was Carnival Tuesday for me is more of an adult parade. And I see it as the children already had their Skiddies Carnival.
Okay.
If we leave the children home come Carnival Tuesday, it would reduce the amount of time that mass band has to be prepared and stuff like that. So I think certain things like that CDC needs to look into in order to make the journey and the parade through Carnival City a little bit more speedily. And persons, you can't have everybody having everything okay. Some will be disgruntled and some won't be. But we have to meet half and half in when you're having these discussions. That is basically my input in the Carnival Tuesday debacle that started off the Carnival.
Okay. And well, you're associated with, I think, Nelson Block?
Nelson Block and Party Nation, yeah.
Okay. Well, my daughter played mass with Nelson Block this year. Rainbow Nation section. For first time, she's 5 years old and she really enjoyed it. She really wanted to go back on Carnival Tuesday, but I also share your view.
Yeah.
But I think that on Carnival Tuesday, I prefer to have her at home because, she came on during a carnival and she had a good time, right? But from the masquerader standpoint, what was some of the reviews?
They didn't like it. They didn't like the decision going back into Victoria Park. And as I said before, I can see why they don't like it. Because in my opinion of Carnival right now, Carnival come as a fete, and we will go into that later on into the program.
Right.
Carnival come as a fete festival. A lot of the traditional aspects of Carnival is going out the door. And that is what is basically, in my opinion, is killing off a lot of the Carnival. But on the other hand, that is part of what brings in the revenue.
because I was going to follow up with that question because the person who play mass on Mardi Gras, they are the ones, they are the consumers. And you know what? This is how this saying goes, with the consumer being king or queen. And I find it interesting because then the question naturally would arise that if the masqueraders wanted to go back to Little Tokyo, then why the insistence on returning to Victoria Park?
I think also Victoria Park is a very positive in terms of photography for the media because they have the background as opposed to Little Tokyo where you have the sea behind it and stuff like that. I don't know how the photographers, what challenges they have with that or anything like that, but from masqueraders, they were really, really disgruntled about going back into Victoria Park. And I could understand that.
They were disgusted for followers. Okay. And I'm going to bring in, before I allow any other of the panelists to comment on this, because I know Ezzy, in his capacity as the deputy chairman of CDC. So Ezzy, from a CDC standpoint.
Well, basically the reasons for wanting to move from Victoria Park, the main reason was twofold. One is that you had a situation where the park was basically empty.
Right.
So you were crossing, the masqueraders were crossing the stage to an empty park.
Yes.
And secondly, from my own perspective and from the perspective of a lot of the masqueraders, like he just indicated, I play mass every year. And my worst part of playing mass is sitting under that mass shed for 2 hours to cross the stage. And persons are paying a lot more now to play mass than they would have been paying 5, 8, 10 years ago. And persons want to get their money's worth. A lot of the people who come to town to view mass also, they are on the streets. Most of the videos and the photography you will see from individuals who are posting on Facebook or social media in general, those shots are taken on the street, not at Victoria Park. We did it last year, the mass bands agreed to it, and we did it last year going through Tokyo. It was the first time that we had judging done in a record time. The bands flowed well, we had no backlogs, no backups, everything. When the last band crossed the stage, it was in a record time. Okay. We have not had judging completed that.
That's when it was done in Little Tokyo.
When it was done in Little Tokyo last year. We did some infrastructural work in order to facilitate that. And this year would have been minor things to be done. The CDA wrote a letter to the CDC, indicated 3 concerns. All 3 concerns we agreed to comply, you know. So we agreed to address the issues raised. We scheduled a site visit for Little Tokyo Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Almost the entire board were there. The CBA rep who was in the meeting when we made that decision did not show up at Little Tokyo. Okay? Nevertheless, we agreed that what we agreed to in Tokyo that morning, we will report in our meeting to the CBA rep. But before we got to that meeting, there were two mass reps on the radio, basically discussing and lambasting the CDC for wanting to go to Little Tokyo without even giving us a chance to say, yes, we're going to address the three concerns that you raised. One being a stage should be in place, which we agreed to. In fact, we booked the stage the very Sunday morning when we made the visit. We made the call to someone who owns stage because the CDC stage would have been occupied, installed at Victoria Park. Okay. And we actually made the booking for a stage and we identified the location and everything because we had technical personnel with us. So before we could get back to the CBA to indicate that we're going to address their concerns, guys who are on the radio spent 2.5 hours lambasting the CDC. And the interesting part about it, you had 2.5 hours of airtime and they promoted not one mass band during that time. They didn't give the phone number, the location, the name of the presentation, nothing of the sort in 2.5 hours. I found that very interesting indeed, so I just had to mention it, that the mass bands are the ones who insisted they want to go back to Victoria Park, but the masqueraders, as you rightly saying, because you ran survey on Facebook,
the public poll on Facebook,
and the public poll showed that the persons out there wanted to go
back to Little Tokyo.
To Little Tokyo. So there's where we are, back to Victoria Park.
Okay, so can we? So is this crossing of the stage at Victoria Park? Is this now permanent? Would this ever be reviewed again? So can we say now that next year that it would be the same where the crossing of the stage would take place at Victoria Park?
I am not sure. I don't know if the masqueraders would eventually be able to convince the mass band leaders. I don't know. I don't know if it's for competition purposes the mass band leaders are thinking that they are better judged at Victoria Park rather than being in Little Tokyo. I'm not sure. But just to mention that one mass band in discussion with their masqueraders, the majority of their masqueraders did not want to go to Victoria Park, and there's one band that made that right turn when they came up from sanitation. Rather than going to Victoria Park, made a right turn back up the street. Right? Oxygen Mass Band did not cross the stage at Victoria Park. They were on the streets only.
One of the things that Tessie mentioned, Santana, was about the very poor turnout that Victoria Park tends to attract on Mardi Gras. And this year there was the freeing up of the gates. Right? Did that make an impact in terms of turnout?
No, it
didn't. Did we see more persons?
No, it didn't. And in my honest opinion, I don't think that I don't think whatever you implement in Mardi Gras would ever have a large turnout in Park. Because why? Because of the amount of time that the bands cross the stage.
But that's a shame because Mardi Gras is such a spectacle, something that ought to be seen, to be appreciated.
Yes, but a lot of persons. You see, the thing is, we have to be very careful. And I could remember the last discussion we had. I think one of the panelists said we have to be very mindful of what part of the traditional aspects are, what part of the modern day aspect that we have to embrace.
Right.
Because when we embrace a modern day aspect, we tend to lose part of the traditional aspect of it. And it is so, I don't want to use a harsh word, but from the masquerader point of view, that I think that they should understand that this is part of our tradition. This is what we do from however long. We
crossing the stage of Victoria Park.
The stage of Victoria Park. Whether it takes 2 hours, 3 hours, it is part of what we do. That is what is in us. It is not something that we're looking to do a fly-by-night.
But don't you think that efficiency, looking at efficiency, that should be something that is considered as well?
Right, but remember,
because the tradition. Because I don't want to. My opinion on it is that I understand and I love the way how you started when I asked you the question. You said that to you, Victoria Park, it is like a cathedral of dreams, right? Because there's this almost romantic affiliation with Victoria Park when it comes to Carnival. I mean, that's why it is named Carnival City. But Lester, I know others don't want to get into this conversation, and I've heard from Santana and I've heard from Ezzy. So I'm going to go to others who want to weigh in on it. So I'll start with Lester, and then I'll hear from the others.
Yeah, I just want to just add my little 2 cents.
Sure.
As you know, I'm also part of Oxygen Mass.
Right.
So our second year, and we weren't eligible for judging. So we didn't see the need
to go to Victoria Park.
You know, so we bypassed that, and we had the best time on the road. You know, I can respect the argument of, you know, I mean, tradition and this and that, but as Santana rightfully said, we have to be careful which part or aspects of tradition we're going to hold on to, because sometimes I feel it's just convenient to whoever is holding that opinion. Because if we're going to stick to tradition, why did we move our mass from a pre-Lent celebration and bring it into the June-July? That is breaking off tradition to create a new tradition, one that we now embrace wholeheartedly. You understand? So we have to realize that sometimes, yes, a tradition may have been started somewhere, but the difference between tradition and culture, and that's the thing we always get mixed up. Culture is always evolving. Culture is what we embrace currently. Tradition is what we used to do, and in some forms we respect it and try to maintain it. But we also have to be mindful of the evolving nature of Carnival. We also realize that Carnival is also the biggest national festival. It's a big revenue generator for the country on a whole. So we also have to pay a little respect to that aspect of it as well. Remember, you know, you're not asking for volunteers to come and go and cross the stage at Victoria Park. You are charging people and then turning around and mandating them and telling them that regardless if it's 2 hours or 3 hours, you have to take it because that is our tradition. You understand? Then what if the participation of mass starts to dwindle? What happens when that starts to go down and then mass becomes a dying art form? What are we going to say then? Are we now going to start to try to backtrack? And, you know, we always have to be mindful of these things. We have to be proactive and not reactive. And I find that's a problem that we have nationally. We always try to be fixing problems rather than preventing them from happening in the first place.
So one of the points that I'm getting from your input, Lester, is that you're saying that you do not see that removing the crossing of the stage on Mardi Gras from Victoria Park to Little Turkey, you're not saying that as compromising the culture.
It's not compromising. It's not compromising the core.
Mardi Gras as a culture.
It's not affecting the culture. You understand? The culture is still embraced in that. Okay. What we are doing is changing the tradition.
Right.
But many traditions have changed over the years, and we still embrace it. We move panorama from the Sunday night. The pan men had to embrace that change in tradition. You know, a lot of things have changed over the years in Vincy Mass. We not doing a Miss Carnival. That's a break in our tradition as well. You understand? But there's no public outcry, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if it's making our product stronger and we still maintaining a strong presence of our Vincy culture in it, what's the problem?
Okay. So I'll now hear from Ronnie, and then I'll indulge our dear Miss Rennie Batiste.
Well, as he stated earlier, I was a masquerader myself. I mean,
Did you
been
play
a
this year?
masquerader
You
for
played
years.
this year?
Yeah, I played this
saw you on the road, yeah.
for years. And there's something that Santana keeps saying while he was making his points that I think is very critical and important, is that he kept saying to the viewers and yourself that the masqueraders wasn't happy
yeah.
with the change back to Victoria Park.
Yeah.
And in my humble opinion, I think mass is about the creativity of the individual in terms of the mass expert and your masqueraders. Because without the masqueraders, then we cannot see your creativity on that particular day. Because you still have Steel and Glitter, which is night mass, and you still have King and Queen.
Yes.
But for that particular day, without we, the masqueraders, putting on those costumes, then we would not be able to see the creativity. So where that is concerned, my my one and only comment is that we have to pay attention to the masqueraders and your clients at that time, because just like Miss Batiste, she have to pay attention to what her clients want, just like Chill Spot. And I mean, I think it's the same concept all across the board. Now, Lester made a comment about old and new tradition. Now, no, but you were saying that there's some new changes in tradition that we had to accept. Now, however, how do we know that Tokyo won't have been a new tradition that is workable or possible? Right? We just did it for 1 year and then we decided to bash it. Right? For example, me as a youngster growing up as a panist, one of the tradition was to play junior panorama at Guichet. And I looked forward to that as a panist, being able to play pan at Guichet. And everybody knows the significant value of playing junior panorama at Guichet.
Yes.
Just like the significant value of crossing the stage as a mass man in Victoria Park. Now, the new generation, this new era, there's a significant value of wanting to play junior pan on Carnival stage in Victoria. So change is generic, and we have to accept that. But then the foundation is also key. You know what I mean? But all in all, where that particular argument is concerned, I just would like to, you know what I mean, we need to pay attention to what our people want, especially on that particular day. Because, you know, the world of entertainment has changed. And I mean, it's more about the experience. But however, there's some other points that we will later on in the program that would be highlighted, yeah?
Yes. Okay, so I'll now ask for the thoughts of Miss Batiste.
It was very interesting for me to listen to the arguments, those that Santana spoke about Victoria Park having the stage and crossing the stage was part of the theater of the mass.
Yes.
And there are some things that we have to ask ourselves. What is Mardi Gras? What is Mardi Gras? Is it put on a costume and jump to the street? What is Mardi Gras? So I think the Carnival Bands Association have to have some dialogue among themselves to understand what we are doing. Yes, you respond to today. There are some things today are like throwing the baby and the bathwater out and then wondering what happened later. The baby's gone. Secondly, the late start, because you have so many people to make up. Part of the problem with that, if I understand from the CBA, were people playing on Monday and the same people playing Tuesday. And of course, there are only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And some people do get tired. So the later then they come to the park and it's jammed. People can't get on the stage as quickly. So they have to look at that mechanism of the theater of Mardi Gras, the drama of Mardi Gras, being on the stage in a traditional setting, as to putting on your costume and jumping through the streets of Kingston, because that is the evolution of the new mass.
Yeah.
Just like you have the traditionalists who would say that that is mass, the same bikini and beads and feathers. I had to explain to somebody, feathers were wrong since I was a child. Swan's down.
Nothing new.
The tinsel put on the tree, the Christmas tree, that's what they used to put on the frame of the big costumes. So people now, the feathers went out, and now the feathers are back, galore.
Yes.
And it looks to people like it is something new.
Yes.
Because they're not steeped into the Mardi Gras tradition. So they think it's something new. This is all, like everything, it's evolutionary. Things have to change with the environment, the breeding of as a new century. The entertainment value is different. Also, people who used to come to Victoria Park never used to play mass. Used to sit in the stands.
Just spectate.
Other people used to be playing mass, and you have the spectators.
Yeah.
But now, everybody wants to be part of the festival. It has now become a bigger festival. If you look back, and I have tons of pictures. I have a tub this big with Carnival pictures.
Wow. Good archive.
And if you look back at what were the bands in those days and what the king of the bands and the individual of the bands look like, it's today that is like the dessert is a little piece of cake as to the size of what it is now. And there are all sorts of things you have to take into account. So I'm not saying that I know what the CBA, because they're the leaders in the band, not the newer people who have come in.
Yes.
The people who have been there traditionally since they're this small with Fuzzy Nights and Roy Ralph and the people at Bridge Boys who set off into Shaggy and those people and Dragons and so. They understand that nostalgia of the drama of the stage. But the consumer now is bigger.
Yes.
So the people used to be sitting in the park, their children are now part of the spectacle of Mardi Gras. So that is, you don't have those people there anymore. And then people say, well, since they're jumping through the street, why should I go to the park and pay money? I could stand up out there and look at them. Then you have to ask, the CDC will have to find a way of making that prize money interesting and more for the people that go out there and play mass. What you get is just to make a sense of satisfaction to the mind and the soul, not a sense of satisfaction to the pocket. There's no particular pecuniary return in that regard. So there are all sorts of issues that you have to look at, and you have to take them into full context. And when you're dealing with people, festival, the emotional connection, that's why having these fora is very important, so that all the different voices can be heard in relation to what is preferred, what the band leader thinks, what the people in the tents who make the costume, the people wearing the costume, paying for the costume, what do they want? And we are in the era of what do you want?
Correct. Correct. Sia, do you want to weigh in?
Sure, no problem. Well, I've heard all the points across the floor right now. I do agree with Santana about the tradition, because I'm all for the tradition. When I think about Victoria Park, I think about Carnival City. So I do love seeing the bands cross Victoria Park. Yes, I do go to Victoria Park, Leicester. I go and view the bands in Park, Leicester. I do. I go and I view the bands in Park, Leicester. I do. Because as I said to you, I love the idea as Victoria Park being Carnival City. I love that idea.
Right.
No. As Rodney had mentioned, and what's your name, sorry, and Ezzy had mentioned, we have to keep in mind the masqueraders and what they want, because they are the one who's paying their money, and without the masqueraders, there would not be Mardi Gras technically. So, as much as I do love tradition and I love Victoria Park, if somewhere else can work, I agree with somewhere else working. We just have to, our people, we're not really fond of changes. Whenever it comes to changes, we mumble a bit and we have problem. Even if we know something can be better, we normally have a problem with it. But if somewhere else can work, I think that we should let it work, so we could see what becomes of Mardi Gras next Carnival. They could consider to go back into Little Tokyo. You never know. Well, it might just be our new place.
Well, at this stage, it seems to me that this is going to be an ongoing conversation between CBA and CDC.
Lester made a really good point. We have to be open to new things. What is it?
Santana was saying something secretly aside.
I was just gonna make a controversial statement.
Which is,
I wonder if this is reflective of the results on Mardi Gras. So I'll just leave it there.
I will jump in. I will jump in because I mean, as somebody who is often on the ground, there are bands that I walk through and I see people going home very early. So I obviously curious why you're going home. They say I can't take the Victoria Park thing, and I done with mask. But then you know what I mean. Even as a masqueraders, masqueraders saying I had people in the band that I played for left because they were under the shed as he was there, as he saw we sitting down.
Could I ask, why are you under the shed?
Waiting to go on stage.
No, why are you waiting to go on stage? If Mardi Gras is supposed to start 11 or 12, obviously bands line up 1, 2, 3, and you flow.
Yeah, but you see the thing is,
Rodney,
the
difference of what happened, the difference of what happened in Liquor Tokyo as opposed to Victoria Park. In Victoria Park, each sessions are 3 minutes on stage.
Right.
While in Little Tokyo, they just breeze through. Yes.
Right.
That
So
is the same thing what I was saying. I made a post on Facebook about that. I said reduce the 3 minutes that is on stage. Just do it like how you do it in Tokyo.
So if we adapt that concept, you think it would eliminate the issue?
Of course it will.
Right, but what about the issue, right? What about the issue? Because there are some people...
Just cross the stage.
But there are some
that is what happened in Tokyo.
But there are some masqueraders who didn't even care about how long you spent on stage. They just didn't want to go there.
Because
and listening to you.
Their mindset is waiting under the shed.
Yeah, but
if as he said, the CBA had their representatives there, they could have made that suggestion.
Yes.
Just let's cross the stage.
Cross the stage.
Yeah, just like what you do in Tokyo.
The CBA rep was in the meeting when we made the decision to go there on the Sunday, but the CBA rep did not show up on Sunday. Okay?
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
The rest of the cities, he had no control over that. But I want to make the point though, about the wait under the shed. One of the things that cause people to have to wait is when 3 and 4 or even 5 bands arrive back to back. While you have this show advertised for years, starting at 10 a.m. and there's never
a band
occasion
at 10.
There's a band in Victoria Park at 10
That is ready on time.
So while we have masked men who are very fond of going on the radio and chastise and so on, these are things that masked men themselves have to address. I mean, we heard early on, Sister Baptiste made the point about the persons jumping on Monday and also going to the mass tent on Tuesday morning to get ready to come to the park. But we also have a problem whereby sometimes masqueraders are in the park and cannot get pieces of their costumes. You can't get the headpiece, your standard not ready. Well, a lot of the bands not using standard now. But I'm just giving examples of things that masqueraders are still looking for in the tent on Tuesday morning. But Santana, that on Tuesday morning you go to the mass tent and you see persons still building costumes.
Yeah, but it's the same thing that happened. But it's the same thing that happened in Tokyo. when the bands cross in Tokyo, it's the same thing that happened. Masqueraders were still waiting for costumes. But what I'm saying, the problem in Victoria Park is the 3 minutes that each section stays on stage.
But that's the decision for the CBA.
But that's the CBA, right? Exactly. Because CBA would have to make that decision.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but listen, right?
Exactly.
When I address the issue of starting having bands in park early, you know what seasoned mass man said to me? What CDC need to do is that we need to have entertainment on stage until the bands arrive. Now for Soca Monarch, we don't have to bring anybody as any filler. When we say to the Soca artists, Soca Monarch start this time, and you have to be there for that time, they're there. Yeah. When we have Miss SVG and we say to the contestants, you have to be in Victoria Park at 6 p.m., they're there. So why should we have to have a filler for mass?
Yeah, but
that is the for mass need to be there.
Mass normally be in park early.
No, sir.
No,
sir.
The public will chastise you for saying that. You know better than that.
I don't think
the public knows better than that.
Yeah.
Nah.
It doesn't seem so sometimes.
All this man used to be back.
You have to realize that you gathering a mass amount of people. As opposed to these soca artists where they're individual.
No, but you see, each band need a management structure to ensure that you can get there.
Yeah, but
what is needed.
Yeah, but as
there are bands that have management structure, and there are bands who are there early, and they will get there. If you say 10, they'll get there 10.
12 o'clock.
No, but okay.
But I said,
hold on, let me make one final point. Last year, I played mass with Party Nation.
Right.
And I received my costume in a box. And I put on my costume at home and went, and I could have met that band anywhere. If I chose to go straight to the park and wait on my band, I couldn't because I had everything. In a lot of the other bands, you still have to go to the mass tent in the morning. And so the bands could change that and give person their costume. You get dressed at home, you come you go to the park.
Get your complete costume beforehand.
You get your costume beforehand.
Let me tell you something. We're going into now a different aspect of mass. Now, hold on. I want to draw reference to 4 mass bands, right? Of recent past. Party Nation, Mirage, Adrenaline, Oxygen Mass. These are mass bands that are selling costumes for $1,000 and up. These are mass bands that are financially backed, right? Now we're looking at traditional mass bands like Blondie Bird, Nelson Black, High Voltage, Lynx. These are mass bands that are struggling to get finances from any business sector, right? Up until Carnival weekend, these traditional mass bands are ordering materials to make mass for Carnival Tuesday.
Carnival weekend?
Yeah, Carnival weekend. You don't Trinidad, you're calling Sharon. Sharon, I need this up on the boat immediately.
So
Why?
So it's just correct when he said that people turn up to the mass tents to collect their costumes on Mardi Gras morning.
Yes,
and costumes are being made.
I'm not saying no,
Okay.
but there's a reason behind it.
Okay.
It is because
And
they
that's the
don't-
reason that
they
you're
don't-
giving.
Exactly, they don't have the financial backing to produce those masks that people can come in when they're ready to get the mask.
Okay.
And that is a huge problem. I can tell you something, not cutting you off, Ezzy. This year, right? A corporation for 13 years sponsored a traditional mass band. Right? They didn't sponsor them this year. They went to one of the fancy bands. So what do you think would happen to that mass band now that's accustomed getting this influx of money to help out their production?
Okay,
Okay.
Santana, you mentioned you mentioned about the oxygens and so forth. Who to you
You
appears to
call
be
him name. He didn't say that. He said fancy
well,
band.
the fancy band. Sorry,
Fancy band.
the fancy band. Sorry. So I know Lester is affiliated with one of those fancy bands. so Lester. How do you respond to Santana's comment?
I have to defend me fancy mask. You understand? Now, to address, you said a sponsor left. I'm not aware of which sponsor left, which band to go to which band. You gonna know why? I don't know. But I will say this: when a we forget when a sponsor gives you money, it's for the purpose of marketing. It's marketing. We have a problem in St. Vincent where we tend to look at sponsorship as a handout, a gift.
It's not.
It's not.
It's
It's
not.
a business transaction.
Yes.
It is. I am giving you out of my marketing budget
To market.
X amount of dollars.
Yes.
For you to do whatnot, but in exchange, I am getting marketing value.
It's not
because
charity. It's not just a
not
matter of charity. Yeah.
Now, when you have, and this is again, I raise this issue with a lot of the traditional people involved in traditional mass. When you look at the so-called fancy mass, these are the bands that have the most visibility. Social media presence.
That's true.
Yes.
Marketing.
That's true.
Of course.
You would say, oh,
That's true.
this, that, and that. Oxygen mask, when we launched, we did a launch in St. Vincent, and the following day, did a New York launch.
Yes.
You understand? Social media launch. This is the way that we are
I
able
said that.
to attract not just only
It's
locals,
changing. It's
but
evolving.
foreigners,
All
You
part
have
of
and
the
also
evolution.
people
Yeah,
in
it's
the
part of the
diaspora.
evolution
You know?
of ours.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they are the ones you could get. Sponsors can't pay all the bills. Sponsors cannot pay all the bills. And even though you are somebody who is wealthy, you're not going to trouble your money every year for the sake of. You understand? At the end of the day, it's still business. The dance have to pay for the light. You understand? So if you have a strong marketing plan and you execute it, you're gonna see results. But if you do not have a marketing plan, like I said this, you do not see the presence, or even after Carnival, pictures and of these things floating around. Right now you're only seeing from somebody looking out, they're gonna only believe that the fancy masks are the only bands that exist here. Because those are the ones that are visible, those are the ones that people see, those are the ones that you feel their presence. So it's only obvious. If I own a business and I say, you know what, we're going to sponsor a mass band. At the end of the day, I also have to look for return on my investment.
Value.
You understand?
Yeah,
And
value.
if I'm sponsoring X, Y, and Z, and all I get is a banner when you cross in Victoria Park, which we already have agreed nobody's in Victoria Park, Who is seeing my banner?
$700 down the
Who
drain.
is seeing my banner?
Yes.
We live in an age of internet, social media. That is
Again,
where
all part of the
everything goes.
evolution. And you have
It's
to
part of
respond.
the evolution.
You have to respond to those changes.
So that is
are
also
happening.
one of the areas where traditional way of operating and mindset has become obsolete.
Yes. And we want to get away from this talk, but I'll give you Santana because I started with you.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's fair to allow you to
I want to
rebut.
I made a statement about finances and financial backing.
Yes.
And you see all that Lester talk about there, that Oxygen launch today and tomorrow night, they launch in America.
You also talk about the social media
Right.
and all that.
Do you think the financial, the traditional bands have that finance that they could do to launch in here and in America?
Yeah, maybe not. But
Just hold on. No, hold on.
No, I want to get the final point.
But he did not only limit his point to that to the double launch.
No, I'm just looking at the financial part of it. I'm just looking at the financial part of it. CDC gives each mass band $3,000, right? $3,000. Now traditional mass bands is depending on that $3,000 to get their stuff started.
Yeah, but
because the evolution is the populace is not gravitating to a traditional band.
Mr. Chair, Marlon, if you allow me, and this is one of the burning points. This is one of the burning points that we discussed at the Department of Culture. How it seemed to a lot of the components, not just mass only, but them in particular, is that the government gives CDC this extra number of money and they're supposed to give us. So that is why we come into Victoria Park. You understand? That's why you don't see a lot of them going and making presentations to business owners in the form of PowerPoint, give them a flash drive with what we have to offer and what we're doing. Because when you look at the fancy masses and their business approach and their marketing approach and the way they approach these sponsors, obviously they're going to get the upper hand based off of somebody just sitting down and send a letter. Right. You know what I mean? It changes generic. We gone past that stage. You understand where I'm coming from? But the thing is, a lot of the components just figure out the government gives CDC money and listen, this is what we're coming for. And that is it. It can't work like that. I mean, it goes beyond that.
Certainly not.
Carnival,
Ms. Baptiste?
Carnival is a business and it is a festival. Now, the bands, the CBA, I know they started some time ago. You have to organize yourself as a business. Look around you. If you look in this bar, you see everything is being marketed. She didn't just have a shed and some furniture and a little fan. You have to market your product. What's your product? There are people who play with the other bands, the traditional bands, who have those skills. They have business skills, accounting skills, marketing skills. There are people on the production side. You have to start earlier, know how you're doing your designs, get your marketing up. Social media is there.
Yes.
I mean, somebody like me can gravitate to social media and see what's happening.
Yes.
So I assume, and I'm right to assume this, that you should be able, you know who play mass with you from year to year. You have a register. I know Nelson Block has a register of the people who play with them and so on. Organize yourself as a business. And you say that some of these other bigger bands have people attached to them. Then if that's what it takes, find yourself a popular artist who's attached to you. That is part of your marketing. And competition. It's competition.
Good advice.
Put yourself in the market. You see how much bears are on the market? Nobody stops, not a soul stops inside room come on the market. Everybody, you turn on the night for news, you see Hyroon, Carib, Henneken.
All right. So, so guys, we started on mass, and so much have been said about mass, and this is just the start, right? Yes. Remember, we have more of the discussion coming up as we review Vincy Mass 2018. At this point, we'll take a short break so that we can hear from our sponsors.
This is not a beer commercial. It's
somebody
not
was
a
saying
Carnival
that
commercial either.
It's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict,
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here we do take care.
When it was just an idea
or a plan,
A struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
and we still are there.
In the sweat
The tears, the laughter,
and the July sun, it's in our fabric.
our founding to protect and support the very same idea.
Of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Love up your pano. Hey, hey, oi, hey, oi, oi. For the love of pan. Oi, oi, oi. Hey, hey. If music down in deep on yard, this vibes it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hear it a tenor beating, a guitar playing. I hear it a bassline pumping. It's the one. I hear it a tenor beating, a guitar playing. I hear it a bassline pumping. It's the one. I'm talking about science.
In the July sun, this is my story, this is my glory. Yeah, with you, I write my story, I find my glory. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you. Yeah, Hiram, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Party mash up here now. Bring the rum and share now. Everybody, jump somebody.
This is not a beer commercial. It's not a Carnival commercial either.
it's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict,
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here we do take care.
When it was just an idea
or a plan,
A struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
and we still are there.
In the sweat
The tears, the laughter,
and the July sun, it's in our fabric.
our founding to protect and support the very same idea.
Of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Love up your pano. Hey, hey, oi, hey, oi, oi. For the love of pan. Oi, oi, oi. Hey, hey. If music down in deep on yard, this vibes it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hear it a tenor beating, a guitar playing. I hear it a bassline pumping. It's the one. I hear it a tenor beating, a guitar playing. I hear it a bassline pumping. It's the one. I'm talking about science.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Hyroon is Carnival.
Party mash up, hey, now. Bring the rum and share now. Everybody, jump somebody.
This is not a beer commercial. It's not a Carnival commercial either.
It's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict.
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here, we do take care.
When it was just an idea
or a plan,
a struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
And we still are there.
In the sweat,
the tears, the laughter,
and the July sun. It's in our fabric.
Our founding to protect and support the very same idea
of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
our people,
our beer.
Hyroon is Carnival.
Love up your pano. Hey, hey, oi, hey, oi, oi. For the love of pan. Oi, oi, oi. Hey, hey. If music done in deep and yard, this vibes it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hear in a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hear in a bassline pumping. It's the one. I hear in a tenor beating, hot guitar playing. I hear in a bassline pumping. It's the one. I'm talking about science.
In the July sun, this is my story, this is my glory. Yeah, with you, I write my story, I find my glory. Yeah, Hyroon, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you. Yeah, Hyroon, it's only you, it's only you, it's only you.
This is our island,
our people,
our beer.
Hyroon is Carnival.
Party mash up, hey, now. Bring the rum and share now. Everybody, jump somebody. Gather.
This
Welcome back to our on-the-spot discussion right here on Osborne News Network. We are reviewing Carnival, and I have an enthusiastic and informed panel facilitating this conversation today. And just before we went to break, we looked at Mardi Gras, the return into Victoria Park for the crossing of the stage, and we heard some pretty interesting views on that. So now we'll be looking at a significant part of Carnival that, from my observation, I think needs some work. Guys, Juve to me, I was saying off air to us, but that Juve is my heart and soul when it comes to Carnival. I just love Juve, but I have some concerns. I think we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a huge reduction in terms of the number of Juve bands, even the trucks on the road. And to put it colloquially, the consensus seems to be that Juve is dead. Right? So what can we do to revive Juve? I see Lester hand went up first, like that eager, that zealous student in class.
I'm very eager.
Yeah,
on this one.
Let's talk about Juve.
Because Juve is a thing that's also dear to my heart too.
Yeah, man.
You understand?
True.
But we have had a growing idea that Juve is free. People do not consider Juve to be like Mardi Gras, Monday Band, any other thing. People look as
for packages.
Juve Band is a gift to the people. You wake up, you come to town, and you wait for a truck pass you jump in, and everybody enjoy themselves. Traditionally, it was a gift to the people, but traditionally, you didn't look for a truck. A truck costs you $10,000. You understand? $10,000.
That's a music truck.
Just a music truck
Just a music
alone.
truck?
We're not talking about
Yes.
adding the attraction. You might want to hire 2, 3, 4 artists
Artists.
to entertain your patrons. Them have to get paid as well. You understand? Then the people that want paint to go on the skin, you had to order and bring in your paint. You understand? The problem we're having now is that even if you do your Juve, a lot of people want to stay outside of the band and wait for the truck. Because they know the truck have to come on the road. They may care about the pre-party and the whatnot. They just want to jump on the road. Another thing that has been really infecting our carnival. We know Vince people don't party now, man. It's true. It's a fact that we just, boy, when Vinci people come out, it's like a hurricane force. Brace yourself. But at the same time, we have to be mindful. Not everybody wants to party.
Wants
like
that experience.
Not everybody wants experience. And sometimes I think we allow Juve to go down a road that kind of became unappealing. I remember a year I went down. Probably the last year I went down. I haven't been to Juve. No, I went Juve last year because I did an event. But we'll get to that point. But last time I was on the road as a patron of Juve, I literally saw a fella coming down the road with a live chicken. A live chicken. A live fowl. A cock fowl. You understand? But the board it wasn't live for long. Boy, board dead in the trampoline. And then the board became an object to toss around. You understand? Now people are looking at it as amusement and whatnot. But to somebody looking who's not really into that type of thing, but who wants to have a dead chicken tossed on them? Blood going on. I'm telling you, it was a very sad sight. But that is the extent people go when there's no form of control to kind of police the behavior. Another woman I know was traumatized when a man came down. It's all in the fun, but a man came down with a chainsaw. Revving it. It didn't have the chain. But if you don't know about chainsaws and these things, you know what I mean? Them is saying what kind of startle you want, you know what I mean? So we need to be cognizant of these things and these factors that are plaguing, you know what I mean, the Juve. A lot of people know the paying patrons, the ones that you really want to attract, the ones that will sustain the Juve bands. Those are the exact people who are staying out. They would say, I'd rather go to sleep the night before, skip Juve, go straight to AM. Those are big money feds. It's not that they don't like Juve, they don't like what Juve has become. And the road. Now, I tried to do an event. Try to bring a different feel, approach to the Juve because a lot of people, including myself, we can't handle it.
You have tried?
Yeah, tried. It was shut down. Well, it's a long bassa, but it was a fight. We tried to do a Juve event, but not in town. Right? But that was met with a lot of what's the word? What do you look for? Resistance. To pull it mildly. You know what I mean? Because back to the tradition again. Tradition. Juve is Kingston. But technically, if you look back at back in the days, each community had their own little Juve. So really and truly,
We talking about Juve, right? And it's just so amusing that we're speaking about Juve, but I noticed Lester only speaking about the paint band Juve. What about the traditional Juve? So it seems to me as though Vincy Mars is heading down the road of we're forgetting about tradition and we're grabbing on to the run down the road, chanchana.
That's just one part of it that Lester spoke.
It's an evolution, you know.
Imagine that.
Remember, it's an evolution. What used to be the equivalent to the paint long ago? Tell me. Monkey band. You remember how many of them used to be in that? Lester, you should know. Yeah. Your skin black and we're running on the traders like crazy when you see them come in with the chain and the cow horns and all of that.
And the boozy back.
But there used to be a good number of them, like 25, 30, and that we're talking about the 60s and 70s. Used to have that. And then you had some other people that specifically do Juve band. Yeah. Pintopia is just a twist on that. They're just using black paint and oil.
Exactly.
And so because people see that and it looks attractive, it meets the modern art eye. So they like the colors. But remember RJ had colors already?
Yep.
Yes.
So it's not just looking at Pintopia seem to have taken over. That is always going to be there.
Also, we have to also send a shout out to the steel bands that always come on the road for Juve.
Yeah. Regardless of fight.
Yeah, there was one on the road.
This is a fight.
There were three?
Because it's a struggle. It is a struggle.
To get
and
them
I find
out,
that we do not commend the pan men because the man have to find a truck trailer, put the thing, and man come and stand up and play pan for the entire Juve. I have done it on numerous occasions. It's
I must
not
say that,
easy.
I was quite pleased this year to look at the reception of persons on the road towards the 3 steel bands that we had.
Yes.
They were sponsored by Musty Company, and I want to use this opportunity to thank them very much for their sponsorship in ensuring that we had those bands on the road for Juve this year. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, yes. very good.
But let's say
and were they happy?
Yeah,
they were happy to see it. So then you have to keep the happiness at that level, so they will feel and ensure that it's worthy to come and bring back steel orchestras on the road for next year. We must let the trail go cold. You have to keep feeding your sponsors and the people who come around you and want to be involved. Don't make them feel you only want them to do this for you, but it is part of something you're continuing to build.
Yeah, 3 steel bands, certainly noteworthy.
Let's say 2 cents, but I have $1 to give. Right, because this topic is a very emotional one for me, where Juve is concerned, and I don't think we could ever, in no time, as much as we get very modernized, could take tradition out of Juve.
Nope.
Because Juve is tradition. Because I remember as a youngster, my mom being a Christian, and the only carnival event she would go is to Juve. Why? Because of the tradition and the creativity.
Yeah.
Because me as a youngster with my mother holding my hand and standing up in backyard and seeing these monkey band pass, there was a concept to it. So me as a youngster now learning about that from a very tender age was very important. Now, however, me as a youngster growing up, when I was 16, 17, 18 and being very rebellious, mean I have to run down Signal Hill and go to Juve, I would either go and put on my grandfather big jacket or to dress like some sort of old character, because why? I knew that is what it was about.
Yes.
Now today we still seeing some youngsters still trying to do it.
Yes.
A man might put on an old time suit, a man might put on something to come down in his pajamas, because
uniform.
There's still that element that people some of the adults just say to them.
It's the satire.
Exactly.
You need to have the satire and you have comedy.
Exactly. You know
but we have to, we maybe, I don't hope we're not losing our sense of humor. That you don't get enough.
I would just get in at that, because even as a youngster going back to mommy, taking me to backyard, by the time Juve done, the amount of jokes you could tell, the amount of people who I would have never expect Ezzy would have dressed like that.
Yes.
You understand where I'm coming from? So no matter what we do, no matter how modernized we get, there would always be tradition in Juve. I remember teaching theater at CXC, and part of your SB have to write about a traditional cultural form. And there was one particular girl who wanted to write about Juve because she was so mesmerized, because the year before she went to Juve and she saw all of this stuff. I think there was 4 guys. I think them guys from
Green Hill?
No, from Leeward. Chainsaw.
Chainsaw.
There was 4 of them, and she was mesmerized. And when everybody is writing about Trinidad, Carnival, and Jamaica, this and Jamaica that, she insists that she wanted to write about St. Vincent Juve as her cultural form. You understand where I'm coming from? And then, you know what I mean, the monkey band came into play and all of these traditions. But you know what I mean, all in all, what we have to do, we have to preserve it, because it would take me back to a question that Miss B asked, what is mass? Is the same way I could ask, what is Juve?
Yeah.
You understand? Now, when you look at it, yes, we could use to the steel bands and what's not, but then there's more to just a steel band being on the road. The steel band being on the road was really attached and related to what was happening behind of the steel band. Now, you can't have traditional mass and you have the amplified music playing this modernized music, because it would not work. It does not sync. So there was a reason why the steel band and the monkey band them used to come behind the steel band and the ticking kanka thing and going down the road.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was a marriage.
Yes.
Let me put it like that. There was a concept to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So now man saying, boy, pan, junk and go behind the pan.
Yes.
No. There was a concept, and then there was, as I said, why it's so emotional, there was an educational aspect to it. You understand? There was a total education. That's why the powder was important. That's why Trinidad is still doing mud. And that is why even in the schools, they still teach about Juve and mud and oil in
Grenada. Still doing the jab.
Now, what is our identity? But that's for another conversation again.
but it's interesting, and because Lester also mentioned, he mentioned the persons coming in the bands with a chainsaw. And I get it that because part of Juve has always been, and Ronnie alluded to it, to characterization, where you assume a particular character, maybe you've seen it in a movie, maybe it's from history, from
But that's
folklore.
your judgment too.
but that's it. And I think that, let's just say now, it's just becoming so ridiculous and chaotic that it's so difficult to control.
But I want to touch on a point that Lester made.
Yes.
Not that point. The other point about people thinking that Juve should be free, or Juve is free.
It's free.
And I want us to, all the players in Carnival, to ensure that we spread the message, let persons understand that the idea of having things free in Carnival is not what it should be. There's a cost to everything, and Lester spoke about the cost of a truck.
Yeah,
They having a
$10,000.
venue rented for their pre-Juve party,
Yes.
for their revelers and so on. Persons are paying money to go to these parties and then to come on the road with the trucks. But you have a number of persons waiting on the outside, and those persons are the ones who are claiming, oh, Juve dead, Juve salt.
Yeah.
But Juve dead and Juve salt because you choose to stay outside waiting on the truck to come out. When you could have paid the money and gone into the venue, enjoyed the Juve inside, and then also jump on the street.
Yeah.
But those persons now are staying on the outside, and when they're outside and the truck come out, they take over the band. A lot of the persons who would have paid the money tend to shy away because they would have had enough partying on the inside and so on.
I can attest to that.
The
Yes.
band. And we have to try to instill in persons, pay to play Juve. The same way you would have paid to go to your wet fete, and you would have paid to go all the expensive parties, you need to pay for Juve. It is not a free activity.
Yeah, and I think it's because an average Juve band package is about $35, $40 the most.
Yeah.
Which I think is really reasonable.
You see, another point that I forgot to underscore too, right?
Yeah,
is
sure.
that a lot of these promoters for these pre-Juve party, Hyrone had one, RJR, and you know me, country meetings.
Yeah, CMT.
Now, we have a great responsibility and we have a lot of influence. And I think the preservation of a lot of our traditional things, you have the attraction. You can now say, listen, all right, this year we do paint, but we're implementing powder, because regardless of what Hyrone, I could use Hyrone as an example, their marketing strategy and what they will always have people coming to them. So now give me a bit of the tradition. You grab me already. So I come to the car park, I see a monkey band pass the stage, because you know what I realized to Marlon? I went to South Leeward and I went to Patani.
Yeah.
And the Thursday before the actual weekend of activities, they had night mass. And when the amount of people that was there, I would never expected that, because in my head, what the system is telling me is that, boy, them things dead. People don't like them anymore.
Yeah. No.
But when you see the crowd that came out
night
for that,
mass is big
and
in
South
Patani.
Leeward too, Ezzy. I don't know if you were there. South Leeward, they had the old time mass, and people were there dancing to the pan music. So to the private promoters, if I would say this, you have the influence, you have the opportunity to give us this tradition, you understand? Because you have the marketing power, you have the money to do it. Give it to us, because I'm sure next year, if Hyrone say we mixing powder with mud and with the paint, you're not going to lose your clientele. You understand where I'm coming from, Santana? We have the power, you have your clientele. No matter how you go about marketing it, you have the opportunity to say, okay, for example, then we touch on wet fet. If Luke decide to say, you know what, I put in a rhythm section in wet fet, you think people going to say they're not going wet fet? They will eventually embrace it. You understand? So I'm saying to the private promoters, add a little bit of the tradition into your events.
I just want to follow up on a point you make, Randy, and you use Cyrene as an example. And in my mind, I'm thinking of, I'm tying that point, because you mentioned Hyrule, their marketing power and their reach and so forth. Because I can remember some time ago, we were having some issues with the t-shirt bands, where they needed revival.
Yes.
Right? And now the large presence of the corporate community has helped greatly, in my opinion,
significantly, yes.
in rejuvenating t-shirt bands. So maybe this is something that can happen in Juve, and maybe we'll see a similar impact.
Exactly, because you see the spill off of this, right? The younger generation now who are into Carnival or into fetting or however you want to call it, they're going to be your long-term customers, right? So if we continue to educate them and preserve certain aspects, because Flow in particular, they had front lines, but then you realize that the masses are the majority of the people were in what?
Yeah, the t-shirt.
So you realize that there's a grab for that particular tradition. Right. You understand where I'm coming from? So, you know what I mean? If we keep, I think that there's a turning point. Okay. You know what I mean? And I think what every youngster wants to say now, because I have some youngsters in my community, all they want to say, boy, yeah, I know about that. You know what I mean? I could tell you about that. But they never was in that era. But they just want to know that they could have a comment about it. Yeah, yes. I know about cut up t-shirt. You know what I mean? I know about this. You understand? So there's a responsibility to from the private promoters to where the traditions of supper are concerned.
So do we need to see the kind of corporate involvement that you're seeing in Monday T-shirt band into Juve?
Yes, I would say that we need that.
Yes.
Because this year we basically had two paint bands.
Yes.
We had the regular traditional Juve taking place in the market, in the side of the market there. But for the paint bands, we only had Country Maytong and Paintopia by High Road. Okay? Now, I don't know what will happen next year if another Juve band is going to be on stream. We also have to be looking at the t-shirt bands as well, because we had a number of t-shirt bands over the last 2-3 years. But this year, we only had Flow, Digicel, and Musty Company.
Yes, three.
Basically, that was it. There was another band from Windward side,
Neon Law. They didn't do as well as I think that they wanted to.
I think some more marketing with that band would have helped some persons to that band, but a lot of persons didn't know about it. And you actually had persons rushing to get t-shirts from the other bands that were doing heavy marketing. Okay, Musty Company was sold out pretty early.
Yes.
So, and then I saw a video clip with the financial control of Musty Company, Mr. Stephen Joking, where he said that come next year, Musty Company will not be bringing a band because it's just not financially viable for them to be spending the sort of money they're spending to bring the t-shirt band and sell the t-shirts at that low price based on the competitors are selling at a certain price point. Okay, so I don't know if there will be a change of heart. I know he would have said before he's not bringing a band.
Or if there will be a new sponsor too.
Exactly. So I don't know if he will change his mind and they will have a band next year. But I think other promoters need to start looking at whether or not they can do t-shirt bands. I had my stint of doing t-shirt band for 12 years, but I'm now on CDC. I can't go out there as a promoter doing a t-shirt band. It would be conflict of interest. But I think it's something that other persons need to look into to ensure that we can supply, because this year we actually had a situation where t-shirt bands couldn't supply. I saw at Flow Juve Morning, for example, where they were, the night before, they were out of t-shirts. They got a few more Juve Morning and then they were sold out.
Sold out, yeah.
Yeah, so we couldn't really supply. Digicel was also under pressure. They were sold out pretty early and they had to try to get some more t-shirts. I think they did another 300 or so and they were gone in no time.
They had like
so we basically could not supply for the demand.
Supply.
Yeah? So there's room for another t-shirt band in Vincimas.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to put a little twist on that whole situation, right?
With the corporate involvement.
Now, what we have seen is basically the takeover of Monday by corporations. Yeah, but they used to do it more from a sponsorship rule. Well, from
t-shirt band.
Let me go back. Let me go back a bit.
A lot of business spaces. Let me cut you there. Cars were there, tenants there,
Yes.
Sisson's Paint.
Jack's
I have the
Cosmetics.
pictures to prove.
Jack's Cosmetics. Ricky Hillocks.
Ricky Hillocks.
History.
Chippy Brown.
Chippy.
Chippies and so.
Yeah.
They
All t-shirt
traditionally
bands.
started as a marketing tool for business places. Just
For
like you say now.
businesses.
And it evolved from there.
Fair
and
enough.
it went into where bands and so on, persons vying for road march,
is nothing
started doing t-shirt band. Like Touch, for example.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
use it as a marketing tool to push their song
Yes.
for
Right.
road march.
Well,
so
that-
it moved
that
from
is- that is
originally
the-
from
that is the-
from the business sector
that is the
business
era-
sector used
to
to do
bands
that.
and artists, and Beckett also use it as well, I must mention.
Well, that's what I'm
And then
saying.
it has evolved back now to corporate.
That is where
The corporate
that is.
entity.
I could only comment from my experience or my as far
Yeah,
back as
yeah.
my knowledge of the Monday band goes back. So my knowledge of it would start when Touch and Exodus, Black Sun, everybody
That's
vying for road
1980.
march.
I could go back
Right?
to 1960.
If it started with the businesses, them using it as a form of marketing for them,
Yep.
well, I wasn't privy to that. But what is
Tenant
happening
Day
now
used to be like this.
is there's a
And
lot of
Cardsburg
interest
used to
in
be like
Monday Bad,
this.
you know.
And you see
There's
the
a
lyric-
lot of interest
the
in
lyric
Monday
is
Bad
there.
and willingness to do it from promoters. But we have to face the realization. Before you even get go, you already have a mountain of expenses which you have to overcome. You understand? You already have to commit yourself to that 10,000. And when I say $10,000 for a truck, that's if you have a nice arrangement, probably with like a mass band who's going to use it the next day, or
It actually can cost more.
it costs
Yeah.
more.
It's
You know,
a
so
cost.
most times you really have to like partner up with another entity who's going to use that truck the
Yes.
following day, and then you
Yes.
get a concession of around
Because
that
they have
price.
to construct and the
So you
truck
already
and
have to
all of
commit to
that.
that. Printing of shirts, this and
Generate
that.
of the
Marketing.
yeah.
Marketing. When you do that, and then you sit down and you evaluate, you have to go up against the bigger corporations. Musty Company, Digicel, Flow, Guinness. As a little promoter, you're gonna say, boy, it makes no sense, because in the first place, these are the four set of places that you would think
approach
to
for sponsorship.
approach for sponsorship, because they tend to be the more generous, business
have
places
other-
in terms
other
of
products
sponsorship
that are
towards these
doing
things.
so well.
So when the people that you're going to
Draw that to their attention.
have their own thing, you know Digicel and going to sponsor my band because they have their band. Musty can go and sponsor Guinness now. They ain't going to sponsor because they have their own. There's a competing interest. So right there and then you're left with the lesser of the business community, and it just puts you at a disadvantage. So these are the realities that we're facing. Yes, we would like to have more, but where's the more gonna come from? You know what I mean? Where's the more gonna come from? And then what happens now is that the population just has to scramble and try fit in where they can get in. It's not even a case now where you can say, boy, who we playing with? We playing with them. It's a case of who have packages left. Boy, I hear them man making a print, you know. When? Bam, let me stand up and wait. You understand? That's what it has come to. The demand is high. But, you know what I mean? That corporate involvement, you know what I mean? Sponsorship and help is needed.
People have to
It's
look
really
for-
needed, because for somebody to take up that venture on your own,
Come to looking for
It's going to be very
help to
difficult.
find the other
So the whole
companies.
corporate involvement, you see it as a double-edged sword.
I just want to be
Santana.
the Speedy Gonzalez in the room, eh? I just make my point and just pop my coat. It also goes to show you in mass that is what is happening. When you come up with the big guns like Mirage and Oxygen and thing, you as a traditional band you have to just
Yeah, this was their second. Yeah.
in terms of financial power, in terms of
But
financial
why are they
Santana,
able
we've
to
already-
attract this
but we've
financial
already
power?
discussed
Why?
it.
What are they doing? What are they doing
But
that
we've had
you're
this
not doing?
discussion.
What are they doing that you're not
Okay,
doing?
let me break it.
Santana,
Let me break
Santana,
it
with
down.
all due
Let me
respect,
break it.
we've had this conversation
Hold on,
before.
let me break it down.
Santana, we've had this.
Santana, we're going to that
Yeah,
already.
we
you
had
know.
this conversation.
I just want to
We had
put
this
it out there now.
conversation before.
We
We're
coming up
talking
against
about Juve and the money.
When they say we, because you on
t-shirt
both
band.
sides, eh?
No,
because you
I-
fancy band and you traditional band, eh? Because you party
as
nation, you
mass
next
man,
band.
as a mass man. I just want to break it down. We're coming up against the Bex and the variants.
Yeah. So
we all right.
Okay,
cool.
guys.
All
So
right.
we've spoken about the mass bands already, right? But I've seen the number of persons who participated in the Monday T-shirt jumper. How is it that there seems to be so much more control on Monday afternoons, but we don't see that on Juve morning, even when we have similar numbers on the road? What accounts for that?
Monday.
No, because one of the things you mentioned when you were speaking about Juve, right, Lester, was about the kind of chaos, right, and this sense of no control. And I'm saying that we normally have large numbers of persons participating, even larger than in Juve, taking part for the Monday street jumper. But how come that seems to be so much more controlled?
The perception. People think Juve is a let loose and let go. The perception is different.
Yep.
As in, with the Monday band, you put on your T-shirt and you're part
So
of a band.
you're identifying with a particular group.
With a
tribe.
unified collective.
It's a tribal mentality.
You understand? Whereas Juve is just seen as a anything, put anything, bring anything in the band, get on like a crazy man.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that has been really taken to heart to the extreme.
Okay.
And that's the problem there. And as Rodney rightfully said, if probably we bring a bit of uniformity in it, in the form of bringing back some monkey band, bringing back some Bozy back, you know what I mean? Then we can have an identity. This is a band of monkey band coming down there. Then we understand why they are behaving like that, because that is part of the character. You know what I mean? If a group of people coming down dressed as sailors, a group of people coming down dressed as, we understand why he is behaving like that, because that is the character. Man in a whole job section coming up.
Yeah.
We know that is the essence of that. So it doesn't become as abrasive as one or two people just doing their own thing, because then it just becomes offensive.
Okay.
Marlon, I do agree with Lester on that. I have not taken part in Juve for years, just for the reason that anybody could come into the band, and it's chaotic. You trying to enjoy yourself and you can't because persons pushing you over. You might even get trampled.
She's talking about
With
that,
the
right?
Monday band now, the band is more control. Once you paid your money for that Monday band, nobody on the outside could come into that band. So you get your money's worth and you get to enjoy yourself. So there's a big difference between Juve morning and Monday
More value
evening.
to the experience.
Yeah, yes it is.
Well, like the Juve must need a little more control and
Yeah, it needs to be
organization.
more controlled.
Well, as but I'm not playing for this ad next year, I bring in a traditional Juve band. Because I think there's a niche, we might laugh, but there's a niche because a lot of the adults, Juve was an adult thing, you know?
Yeah.
And then you hold the children, they might cry them tongue, you know? Juve was an adult thing and we're no longer seeing that. So next year, 2019, me and Miss Raina Batiste, we're bringing a traditional band called Characters We Love. Right, so disclaimer.
All right. So,
well, I bring in my band too, no? Upscale monkey band, all inclusive.
Great. So Juve would be receiving a boost next year.
Right.
Great. So, a very important part of Vincy Masters, of course, pan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that.
Yes.
But before I go there, my colleague Larandine has a question that she wants to ask. So I'm going to give her that opportunity.
Okay, so Miss Batiste, this is directly mainly for you. So I just like to know if you can tell us, based on your stint as Minister of Culture, if it has impacted the effectiveness of CDC.
The effectiveness, what impacted the effectiveness?
Your stint as Minister of Culture.
Oh, well, as a matter of fact, the CDC now is something that was crafted in 2002, 2003, where we had to put it on a juridical footing so that it will be have much more form, and you can start bigger marketing on a bigger level to engage big corporations by way of contract, long-term contracts, not going with a cap in hand, but signing up with, for example, LIAT. LIAT own will run from year to year. Cable and Wireless was a 2 and 3 year contract. Hyroon It's a 2 and 3 year contract. And what in that contract, what all do you get? What all would the CDC get? What all would the different masqueraders get? What events they would like to have? So you had that sort of putting form into it. Then, of course, we had Onika going to study development of Carnival and the creative arts so that she would be more able to help with the programming, because we hadn't had Carnival in America for over 18, 19 years. When I came to office, we hadn't had Carnival in East St. George for another 20 years. So that was revived, reorganized, restructured, and they now have a fairly good structure in place. And bringing it back, you could only bring back certain elements, which was like the Queen Show and the Calypso, because the steel band had to be rejuvenated. When I came to office, there were 3 bands, 3 school bands. So the CDC helped with working with the Yulupan movement to start to craft put in what they call structure. And the Pan Against Crime has helped significantly in getting more community bands to come on so that you can have a junior fest. Then you had the signing on of a state corporation so that Junior Pan Fest became Vinlec Junior Pan Fest. Steel and glitter, when you had to change because the panorama was going too late. And on the Sunday night, incidentally, before I was in with the Minister of Culture, I used to do the live broadcast from Victoria Park Fest VGTV. So you're not talking to somebody who's a stranger. I used to be there. And if I'm not in the broadcast booth, I used to MC the March Gras. Mezume, wait, what his name? I'll never forget that dance I'm on stage. So I had the perspective of being involved, being a participant, being in the organization. So we use those experiences to try to craft and build the corporation. And the corporation was established for developmental purposes. CDC don't play mass.
Hence why they call you Mama Culture. Due to your
that was only that.
Contribution to Vinci culture.
Yeah, no, and you have to market it. Remember, we started doing cards, and up to now, you see the bags mark Vinci Mass. We got those from the Embassy of Taiwan. Must be nearly 50,000. That's why you still have them. There are a lot of, you got things, you had to do things in that way. Then to engage BWIA. Couple of years, sign on with them so they can put it on the in-flight video to come to St. Vincent. Now we have Air Canada. Now we have CAL that is back on, and CAL this year became the international airline. You now have to have this, the role of the CDC now in the marketing arm is to engage CAL on a much more a longer term basis. They're like, I know some people like year to year, but you have to negotiate. See if you can get them for 2 to 3 years. You have to offer them something because you're marketing. And when you're marketing and you're going to broadcast, there is where we have to give them quality production for them to stay with you as a sponsor. So you see, look, I'll just give you a sponsor. you have to give product, product and service.
Yes, definitely I want to say that I received my call to be a member of the CDC from Ms. Renee Batish. She identified me as an individual who she thought can do a good job at being coordinator for rural carnivals. And I must say that she has been supporting the CDC quite tremendously over the years, and a number of initiatives that we see now in place, they were through her leadership that we were able to do them. For example, Soca Monarch artist going to Trinidad as an automatic finalist. That was negotiated with Mr. William Monroe, who is the promoter of Soca Monarch in Trinidad. Through an initiative of Ms. Rennie Baptiste, we were able to get our artists in for a couple of years as automatic finalists in Soca Monarch in Trinidad. She was also supportive of us going to Trinidad to do marketing and promotion. She spoke about the view cards and so on that we were doing. We were the first other people in the Caribbean to be doing that. To go to Trinidad and we distribute view cards with the dates of Vinci Mass and our Carnival program, and photos of Mass and Pan and so on. The winners of the previous years would have been featured on those cards from time to time. So those are a number of other initiatives or direct input from Rennie Baptiste.
Yes, Ms. Batista, I also like to ask another question. If you were the Minister of Culture today, right?
Don't ask me that. It's a political question.
No, but I just want to get it across. If
You see,
you were,
this is the evolution, you know, this is the evolution.
I want to hear that question.
yes, are there any changes or implementations that you would suggest to CDC to reiterate Vinci Carnival as the best in the region, the hottest in the region?
Let me tell you right now, it is the hottest carnival in the region. Let me tell you right now, there's nothing like Vinci Mass. And one of the things that we have taken very carefully to do, and it's something because Rodney is a client as well, branding. There was nothing called Spice Mass until you heard of Vinci Mass. It was Grenada Carnival. They sent a gentleman, you should recall, I think, from their ministry to come up and spend time at the CDC office and see what we are doing. There's a lot of inside story people don't know.
Yes.
A lot of inside story people don't know. And then Spice Mass and then Liat Magazine. And we had to fight to get into the Liat Magazine too. And
So you're saying that
branding.
we inspired other countries.
We inspired other countries.
Definitely.
And you see that brand, Vinci Mass, I tell you, that's why it's important that you be consistent with your branding. And that's why it is important when people are performing on stage, that this is something that you want to broadcast and get value for that broadcast, that pay-per-view. And so you have to maintain your brand. So the Vinci Mass words, those have to be trademarked because people take words they hear and they will brand something else with it and make money, and you don't get any licensing fees. We can license people to use I tell you.
Yep.
We can before we went to slogans, bigger, better. That was CDC. Use those words first. Even bigger, even better. Spirit of Carnival. Those are also the words of CDC. So we register all those words. So anybody want to use those words have to pay a license. If in watching what we've registered, if in watching it, we see that happening, we then write to them and tell them they need to get a license. So it's not just things you do or things you say. That is the business side of the CDC. Those logos you see that you use on the stage, on the back of the stage, with the mic and the two feathers and the steel pan, that is also, we're now in the process of preparing the designs for that and getting what all that brand is made up of, so that somebody can't in some country take it and decide to use it and you wonder, what happened? So that is the other side. All those are other issues that CDC deals with. So when people think, what's CDC doing? Not CDC doing, they think, is doing the stage and the setting. Even the set design. There's a contract for that set design. And the person who prepares the set design is contracted to work. So you don't just put up a nice stage. Every stage or setting is contracted, and that is the contract of the CDC.
My last question before I pass it on to Marlon. So I just like to ask, out of my curiosity, what was your greatest achievement as Minister of Culture?
What was my greatest
achievement as Minister of Culture?
Oh, I have a 7-page document I can give you.
That would be nice. Okay, I'll just pass it on to Marlon.
Keeping
now.
the legacies. We have legacies that we have to keep alive. And that was very important to me.
I just wanted to add something else to what Sister Reddy just said. Now, one of the achievements that we didn't mention was the establishment of the no glass bottle policy. And that was under her leadership as well. And that is to me one of the most significant
really effective
things. Because up to, yesterday I actually read an article that featured the current Commissioner of Police, where he mentioned the statistics for Vinci Mass 2018 relative to crimes and so on, and the vast reduction in crime. In particular, he mentioned wounding during the carnival season. And he spoke about the no glass bottle policy and said that it is as a direct result of this policy that the numbers for wounding has been reduced significantly over the years. I think what was quoted there, I think, was either 4 or 5 within a 12-day period, and that is that's significant reduction.
Don't worry, we get accustomed to it. If we go to a ball game in the States, we don't have to say one word, take your ticket and go and sit down.
Yeah. And
You
just to
remember
mention
no
about
bottle.
copying persons coming and learning.
Yes.
Just to mention that the folks from Trinidad came to St. Vincent. I think it was some senior officials from the police force and others and from security came to St. Vincent during Carnival to really observe how we implement the no glass bottle policy. That was done a few years ago. But St. Vincent, Vinci Mass, the CDC, we don't get credit for leading the way and things. We always get the list of things that we should do. Yeah, but these are things that we would have done that others are following.
And I think that Santana should remember for the mass bands, when people used to invade the mass bands, we made a regulation so that they have security, they have band marshals and people like that to be able to put people out of the band without having to incur any sort of thing. They tell you to move, you have to move. You don't move, police tell you and take you around. Remember, they don't know any magistrate over the carnival weekend either. They stay in jail.
That's right. So, and I know Randy really wanted to get her questions in because she's so in awe of you, Miss Batiste, and all that you represent. And she was really eager to pick your brain.
I'd like to say as well, it has been an honor to have the privilege of speaking with you, Miss Batiste.
Oh my Lord. Now I can blush.
Yes, you're allowed to. So guys,
the marketing opportunity available here, I don't want to miss it. We are currently doing marketing in Toronto as we speak. We have the chairman of CDC, Ricky Adams, along with the Minister of Culture and also the chairman, the CEO of the Tourism Authority there in Toronto right now, doing promotions. I would have seen some work done there with television interviews, etc. We have some stuff on social media. They have a booth at the activity where they're displaying the dates of Vinci Mass 2018. 2019, sorry. And we have the 2019 standee at the E.T. Joshua at the Argyle International Airport, along with mass displays and so on, promoting the dates of Vinci Mass 2019. I know that persons from time to time may misread the dates of Vinci Mass, and I think we had a situation this year where some calendars and so on actually published the wrong dates of Vinci Mass. So we wanted to ensure that this year we got the message out pretty early.
Yes.
The dates of Vinci Mass 2019. So that's our mission right now.
Okay, and I want us to look at steel pan, because that is a critical part of Vinci Mass, and he spoke a lot about tradition and culture, and there's no doubt that steel pan is a very important and symbolic part of Vinci Mass. So, in terms of, yes, Sia, can I know Sia, and Sia, congratulations to you guys.
Thank you. Now because y'all heckled me on Facebook and I was supposed to cry apparently.
Is the PR for Cyan Hill. Steel Orchestra. So Sia, I'm gonna start with you and your impressions on the season for Steel Pan.
Oh. Well, Steel and Glitter 2018, it was absolutely epic. Not because Cyan Hill Steel Orchestra won, not because we won, but tap on my shoulders and boo Santana, we won. Not because we won, but this year, for the first time, we saw 8 bands, 8 senior bands crossing the stage.
8, yes.
For the longest time, I have never seen 8 bands crossing the stage. Yes, big up Ebony, they did well. Big up to the 2.
Yeah, the new band Ebony.
My new band.
That's Lester's band.
Yes, and they came 3rd. That would be hard. It would be hard. Yes, back to what I was saying. We had 8 bands, and I must congratulate all 8 bands. All 8 bands brought it this year for Panorama.
Yes.
We cannot underestimate any band. All bands brought it this year. Persons come out to Panorama thinking that the competition is between Cyan Hill and Starlet, but I will tell you that that is not true. Every band brought it this year. I was surprised to see that a first-time band like Ebony did so well.
Yeah.
They did exceptionally well. Oh, whatever, Santana. As for the turnout in Pa, this year Panorama, we saw one of the biggest turnouts in
Yes.
Victoria Park.
8 bands.
Yes.
The following.
Yes, we had 8 bands and we had a big crowd
Big
in
crowd.
Victoria Park as well. The crowd and the support from the community, it was awesome.
It was
As
awesome.
for Junior Panorama, even though they had the little problem of being cancelled because of the rain,
Yes,
the turnout
the weather.
for Junior Panorama as
was
well,
very
it
good.
was much better. We had 10 school bands and 10 school bands and 5 community bands. How much, Ronnie? You're shaking your head.
Pan against crime walking, boy. Pan against crime since we walking.
You sure?
13 bands.
And I'm hearing a grammar,
five
I'm hearing a
community
grammar school will be
bands?
taking part next year.
Well, that would be good.
Yes.
That'd be excellent.
But we definitely had 10 school bands, and Union Island Secondary School came up and participated.
For the first time.
No, it's not
No,
the
no.
first time. It's not the first time that Union Island
okay.
participated.
Oh, okay.
Union,
One
I-
off. Yes.
Yeah, Union Island participated already, and this is the first in years that they have participated. We saw a school from Mesopotamia participating, and that was their first time. Yes, Mespo, that was their first time.
No, they came last year.
Mespo.
Last year was the first.
Well, I could only recall them for this year. But this year, I always look forward, really, to see the CW Prescott Primary perform. And congratulations to them. The CW Prescott, they're awesome. But Girls High School walked away with it this year. Congratulations to them. Congratulations to JP. JP is a hell of an arranger. I would say JP is one of our best local arrangers. His musical style is it's on par.
Yes.
It is on par. And the turnout for Junior Panorama, it was okay. I guess it would have been because of the change of dates
Yeah,
and
because
most
it had to be
persons
postponed
not
because of the
yes,
weather.
and
Because of
most
the weather,
persons
yes.
not knowing when was the new date. But the turnout was all right. But I think that it can be better. And I'm looking forward for next year that we see for the school bands that more persons in the school participate in the band. And I must big up the Pan Against Crime because of Pan Against
They have more
Crime,
players.
this is the growth of these school bands
Yes.
and Junior Panorama in general. So big up to, and the first band that was built from Pan Against Crime, I think it was the Symphonic Steel Orchestra.
Symphonics and Genesis.
And Genesis
And Southeast.
and Southeast as well. Yeah.
In terms of completion, right? But there was assistance to other bands prior to. Yeah.
So as I was saying, we need to see the school bands growing
the
a little
the
bit
revival,
more.
yeah.
I would, as Lester was saying, next year we should see grammar school. I remember the first time I played Junior Panorama, grammar school took part, and grammar school did pretty well.
Pretty well.
And Bishop's
They did
College.
pretty well,
Yeah,
Lester.
Bishop's College.
Bishop's
Yeah, that's what a
High
traditional, yeah.
I never had the experience to play with Bishop High School. Since I've been playing Pan, I don't think I've ever been in a panorama with Bishop High School taking part. But I've heard of Bishop Yes, I've heard of Bishop, and I've heard of how good they were. The St. Joseph Convent, my alma mater, we did not, dear to my heart, we did not take part this year. But next year, I hope to see St.
To see
Joseph
them,
Convent
yes.
taking part next year in the Junior Panorama.
So they just
And
started
I
the
must pick up the
preparation early.
Chumuka Government School. It was a very small band with small children. They did well.
They
They
did
played
well.
their hearts out.
Yes.
They did their best. Congratulations to them. I see Ronnie over here itching because he wants to say something. But congrats to you, Lupan Movement too. Promotion was well done. Hats off to you guys. And the build up before Panorama.
That was very good.
Excellent,
Yes,
I must
excellent.
say, because they had the Lyman Heritage Square. They had Rep Your Band out here. They had a few events. And Ronnie, what was the last one out? Villa?
Blocko.
Yeah.
Blocko.
Right. So the build up and the promotion to Panorama this year, it was excellent and it was well
maybe
executed.
those initiatives
You need to keep
Yes.
that energy.
Yes,
Yeah,
and if we continue with those initiatives, the constant promoting of the pan, and something else that contributed and is currently contributing to the building of PAN, the summer programs. The Sign Hill Steel Orchestra have a summer program that is held every year. So let me do a little marketing here for my band. Tomorrow, the 23rd, summer school starts at Sign Hill. We start from 1 to 4. From 1 to 4. Feel free to go. Parents, know that your children are safe. You will be in a family surrounded area. I am promoting my band. Stop it.
Sign Hill is having for adults
from
too.
7 to 18.
Sign Hill is having adults
7 to
class.
18?
Yes,
Later.
7 to 18.
7 to 18
yes,
years.
and the Symphonic Steel Orchestra also starts their summer training program tomorrow at the Kettles Resort Center, and that's free of charge. Sign Hill, there's a $20 registration fee. Yes, so I'll pass it on to Santana, who wants to say something about PAN.
I just would like to say something. I would very much like to see Bishop's College back into the fray of things. My alma mater and they were in last year. Okay. Well, I would like, because I was in the era where Bishop's was on top in PAN.
You played Santana?
I played for Bishop's, and there was also, in my time, there was Easter Pan Festival. I don't hear about that anymore. But I remember in those days, Bishop's was on the top side. I would like them to see them get back up in that. I know he is a very good arranger and everything like that. One of the things I would like the CDC to look at, or the producers of the show for Steel and Glitter, is the turnover time of the pans. Because I was in part the night and I thought the turnover time was a little bit
okay, that has to do with one, the Steel Orchestra itself. I remember that Rodney did this thing about practicing how long it takes you to set up your pans. Yeah. And we have to do that because we don't have 3 big stages where you can use the hydraulics and turn the stage, and another band is already on the stage to go. So it is the people have to practice that. How long it takes them to get their bass bands, the tenor pans in the front, guitar pans. It's a production thing. So it's not just the CDC stage management, but also the persons who are in charge of the band, the manager and the players. You have to have a time where you time yourself. How long it takes you to get your pan there? How long it takes you to stand up in front of your pan?
Okay, I want
That's
us
what needs to happen.
Ronnie, because there's some comments, some suggestions, or a suggestion or two coming through from the live feed, and I want to get to those in a while. But Ronnie, someone is saying that the PR from the Yellow Pan movement is here. Can we let him speak?
Yes, I am the PR from the YPM, the Yulupad movement, and let me big up the Yulupad movement for celebrating 40 years of existence this year. And Sia spoke about the leading up activities, but those activities was really as part of our 40th anniversary celebration, which helped with the spill off.
Great.
But Panorama, wow. And I mean, for me personally, it is really an emotional feeling when I have to stay in the audience and watch Panorama from a distance, because of many other reasons. And I mean, being a part of the CDC Shows Committee, being in administration, and I mean, it's really different. But we still have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to sit here and be naive about that. Yes. As PAN people, we still have a lot of work to do where our mindset is concerned. And just like the traditional mass bands, we need to start seeing PAN as a business. You know what I mean? As a business. Now, there's a culture that comes with Panorama. There's a culture. Now, culture means a way of life.
A habit.
Right? Now, when you go to Trinidad, you go to Grenada, and you go to Antigua, these 3 particular places where Panorama is concerned, the panyards are alive every single night. And we have not yet adapted that here in St. Vincent, where we can allow the community, allow people from different places to come and observe your rehearsal. Let it be a lime in the rehearsal, so you know the turnout at Panorama now. Because of the liming in the Panorama every night, your fan base is building.
Yes.
And I mean, persons are getting an idea. Persons are being more familiar with what the bands are playing. So come to Victoria Park now, I can relate to what is happening, because you know why? I was in the pan yard for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for a month, for 2 months. But we still have this thing where, you know, a lot of band leaders don't really encourage that. When they see people come to the pan yard, it's either they don't want to play or they stop playing or they take a break and whatever. But the spill off of that is that we're going to see a better return, a better attendance at Steel and Glitter. And I mean, now, I would say, as Sia said, and I really want to say that I have to big up the Pan Against Crime initiative, because something is working somewhere. Because I am coming from an era where we had 3 and 2 bands in Panorama to an era where we have 8 and we have 13 bands. Now during the Panorama we could see 20 because we didn't see Bishop College came back, we didn't see Convent, St. Martin's even requested to come. You understand? South Rivers didn't come. So that is 14 and 4 is 18. You understand? And then Union Island wanting to bring a combined band. Just to give some history, Tromoka and Union Island are 2 of the longest bands in Junior Pan. 2 of, not the only 2, but 2 of.
Right.
You understand? So, you know what I mean? Something is happening somewhere where Pan is concerned. But I think we as Pan players, and I say we because I'm a part of it, we need to unlock that next level. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think over time it will happen. But I think there's something that is attracting more people to the instrument. And not just players, but patrons, because we saw the turnout at Steel and Glitter. Now, I saw one band in particular try a particular approach that I think would work eventually, where the Stylish Steel Orchestra tried to do a modernized song, which was Skinny Fabulous Worst Behavior. I think that song is 4 years ago, Lester. Now, the average person at most time don't understand what a steel orchestra is playing where Panorama is concerned. Because the structure of a Panorama song is really, you spend at least a minute and a half playing the actual song, and then you go into all of your wonderful arrangements. So if you can't really follow, you get lost. So to you, that is no longer entertaining. Now, if we take that project style is taking, right, of doing a song that everybody can recognize, I think that would also help too. And I mean, now, I want to be quick because, you know what I mean, the time is going. What I would love to see, and I see Trinidad is doing it a lot, is that they're incorporating a lot of the other components and the other elements into their Panorama, right? And I think we need to go down that road too, because at the end of the day, it is a production. Panorama is a production. You know. And I don't mean the Panorama competition, I mean as a band. Because in my time of arranging for Sinil, I always wanted to make sure that the decor is on point. I always wanted to make sure that the engineering would be on point. I always wanted to make sure that the way the band is orchestrated and set up is on point. I always wanted to make sure the look of the band is on point. You understand? And now, I am not a designer. So eventually the domino effect is that I might have to hire Santana to come and help me with some designing. And I mean, but to close, I think Pan is in a safe place. And I mean, we just need to see how we can unlock that next level and see how we could be more accepted. And being more accepted, we have to change our mindset. And I mean, we're still fighting a fight like if we're in the 1930s. And I mean, we need to encourage more individual playing too. And I mean, we need to know as Pan players, for those of you who are listening to me, you need to respect the Eula Pan movement. They are the governing body for Pan. And I mean, I feel like there's too much of a disconnection between the Eula Pan movement and the bands, because there's too much of a struggle and a fight to get things done. Because one of the struggles we have that would eliminate the changing over time as Santana, we wanted to change the venue and give us that drag effect, Ezzy and Lester know about the drag effect of taking Panorama on the tarmac. So you know, when you come in the tarmac, all you're doing, you're just crossing stage, you stand, and all the bands set up at the same time, because we also have to pay attention to our patrons. We don't want to run them away anymore. We don't want to run them anymore. But yeah, big up the Europe movement. We have more activities coming for our 40th anniversary. But I just want to encourage people, the steel pan instrument is a beautiful thing. And I mean, and as we're on this topic, is that it's the only Caribbean instrument. The piano doesn't belong to us. The saxophone doesn't belong to us. Indigenous, and it's the only thing that is really, the only instrument that is really bringing us together as Pan people. Because see, I could tell you, well, Lester, I don't know how often you was in Pan Yard, is that it's all these personalities coming together to make one product. You know what I mean? So we have to be mindful of that. And I encourage all the parents, keep them children in Pan. And look over Steel Expressions.
And the summer program that are coming up. Okay. So I'm gonna have Lester, then I'm going to the live. Then I'm going to the live feed because I'm seeing some comments.
Yeah, I
right,
just
so
have to
Lester,
say, just echoing the sentiments of my other Pan mates here. you know. But I also have to send a big shout out to my pan side, you know, Ebony Panjamas. For 4th year, we were able to, you know what I mean? That ain't nothing. Third is a good start. We just warming up, getting our feet wet.
Podium.
You know what I mean? Next year, you know what I mean? Or you will have more problems. You understand? And I just want to say that Ebony is a realization of people passionate about pan. You understand? Former members of Starlift, myself, you know, come together, potential, you know, and we came together and we say, you know, we can do this, you know. I also have to send a big shout out to Mr. York from St. Martin, who donated a lot of pans amongst the other pans that we purchased, you know. And I'm just saying that in order for pan to grow, because what I find happening is that a lot of people come up in pan and then they forget about pan. Me personally, I had to be involved in it because, one, that's where I got my musical background, through pan. That's why I started with the St. Vincent Grammar School back in 1996. That's when I saw the first pan. Old man. You know what I mean? Fell in love with the instrument. And I was a person who loved music from small. This was actually my first attempt at playing music, being involved in the music rather than just listening to it. And I absolutely fell in love with it. It led me to bigger things. It led me to music production because I wanted to become more intricately involved in music. And that's what put me here. Music is a very good thing for students. Scientifically, it helps them focus more, you know. So we should really encourage more people to be involved in pan. And those who leave the little school bands, you don't have to stop there. You know what I mean? You can join another community band or come together and form another band. There's always more room. There's always room. You know what I mean? So I just want to echo those sentiments, you know, and also let people know that me, although I may not have the time right now to go in a pan yard and beat a pan, they still never had no 4-pan man could come and challenge me right now. I could tell you that boastfully.
Okay, so I just want to thank
Marlon, before we come off of the pan topic, let's touch the point, and he just mentioned that most persons, after a while, they drop out of the pan, because I think persons stop playing pan after a while because they don't see the pan as beneficial. They don't see the pan taking them anywhere or taking them to a next step or taking them out of the country, or they don't even look at the pan as a profession. No, here is Rodney. Let's take Rodney for an example. Rodney has built his life and his career around pan. Not only Rodney, but Rejon Baptiste.
Yes.
They both and many others has taken pan and make a career out of it. So we need to just stop looking at pan as just something we do to occupy ourselves, but look at the bigger picture. You know, as Mama Culture said, it's an evolution. We are going into a different time. We have to embrace other things. So let us start looking at the pan. Let's look at it in a different light. Let's embrace the pan culture more, because it can take you places, for one, and it keeps the youths them out of trouble. It keeps them occupied. So let's not put it down. Let's parents send your children out to learn the instrument. And I'm going to do a little bit more marketing, Santana, for the adults who want to get involved in pan. This year, we are bringing back a summer program for adults. Yes, at Sion Hill, at the Panyard. It starts at 4 to 7. Come on out, adults. You two could get in the action. Be a part of the family.
Join the pan movement.
Join the pan movement.
Okay, let us go to some of the comments from the viewers on the Facebook Live feed. Diane Branch, she said, I want us to start inviting other pan bands from different countries as guests to our Steel and Glitter. Right? Colleen St. Louis is suggesting that we talk about the DJs.
We should. We should.
Roderick Mackenzie says, I'm really hoping that someone is taking notes. Lots of input being dished out here.
Yeah.
Someone is agreeing with Diane Branch, agrees with Ronnie, points that he made a while ago. Ivanique Pierre, she says, y'all need to rectify some of the rules pertaining to the criteria that make some pan groups eligible to participate in both Panorama. Well, I guess she's referring to both senior and junior. Roderick Mackenzie, well, Ronnie, that's what I mentioned before about regular shows through the year to help boost the art form. Let's not wait till the festive season alone. Right, and Vinci Power responding to Roderick Mackenzie. He says absolutely, he agrees. He says Jamarama should be introduced into Vinci Mass. That's Vinci Power's suggestion. Jamarama being introduced to Vinci Mass.
Sponsor.
He said, Vince Power continues, again, we are looking outside for ideas because we have none at home. And that's a question he's asking. Okay,
What do you mean we don't have none at home?
GHS one
for 5 years.
Five
in a row.
years.
Yes, yes.
That's true. Yeah. Consecutively. So that's 5 in a row. They did five in a row.
Yes.
So certainly that's congratulations to them. Right. So Latoya Darshe, yeah, she said that the GHS won for the 5th time, I believe. That's worthy of mention. Big up Jippy and our girls. They worked hard. Your daughter at GHS. Okay. Pan, Dwayne Sanders says, Pan has to put food on the table though. But I love it. But he said, I love it.
Put food on the table.
Pan has to put food on the table. I know Sia mentioned that, and we have examples such as Ronnie Small.
And Rajon.
There's Rajon, who's doing that professionally. Rajon travels the world making a living from playing pan. Right? Vince Paul wants to know, are there any major steel pans in Leeward?
Yes.
I just give some history.
Ronnie mentioned some.
Chomaka, the one in South Leeward, Symphonex.
Right.
And Bethel. And who's the other one? There's another one in one of the other.
From Bayam is warning, look out for epic songs, steel orchestra throughout the year.
Okay.
Right? So similarly they have some ideas as to keeping epic steel pan relevant, not just
once
during
a year.
Yes. Good.
You see, just to comment on that, right? And I have to be very honest, right? Where the Yule Pan movement is concerned, we have a year of activities, but I will keep saying the mindset of our pan players and band leaders has to change, because there's always a fight to execute an event. Is either one band don't want to come, or I can't come, or I don't like that one who playing there, or I don't want to play at this venue, or I don't want to play at that venue. That has to change. I remember in my time coming up, and Mama Culture could tell you, Lester could tell you, because Lester had a very wonderful idea, and up to this day, nobody take it, but Antigua took it and run with it. 5 Alive, where you have 5 pan players, but before you play, you have to act out what you're playing. Nobody take it. Now you know what Antigua have it? Moves of pan. Biggest thing in Antigua. Really? Yesterday, Heritage Square, you told the former president at that time was Warren Knights in Heritage Square.
Yes.
You understand? The thing is that it's an evolution. Pan is changing. You know what is happening? And even before we start, we have countries like Japan, Germany, Austria, Russia have pan. And they are monsters. They are monsters with it. And if we don't pay attention and be careful, where we have our Caribbean culture here, they're going to take it. They're going to take it. You know what I mean? There's one particular band in Japan. When I had that conversation, I asked them, how long you rehearse? They rehearse for 8 hours. 4 is looking at other bands and the other 4 is to play. We don't even want to rehearse it for 1 hour. So how are you going to get good? You understand? But, you know what I mean? There are events that we try to do throughout the year. But I am saying to all the band leaders who are looking at me, who are listening, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you have to change your mindset.
Yes.
It's no longer 1930s. We're no longer delinquents. Where you know the history tell you it's only a delinquent used to play pan. No, we are prestige now. We are sophisticated.
It's an elevation, it's a place of respect. Now, We are almost, yes, we have to talk about this before we go, because another of the really contentious, quote unquote, contentious issues heading into Vincy Mas was the private shows, where the question was asked, is it that the private shows are complementary to the CDC shows, or are they a challenge, right? So now that Vincy Mas 2018 has come and gone, what are our views on that from what we saw for Vincy Mas 2018? Just got to throw that in here before we go.
Yeah, I wrote an article, I think it's 3 years ago, called Carnival Vultures. It was a half page in the newspaper. And I'm very serious about it.
Yes.
Because they exist. Carnival vultures do exist. And the system, we have to put a system in place that we can get a contribution from these people who capitalize on CDC marketing. Like I mentioned, we started our marketing already for Vincy Mas 2019.
Right now.
Yes.
So when we go out there and we do the work, we had Synergy TV in St. Vincent.
Yes.
Broadcasting their morning program from here on Carnival Friday, bringing Soca Monarch Live, and so on. And we will be continuing working with these entities to promote Vincy Mas outside.
Yes.
So when we do the work and we bring people here, this is exactly the reason why all these tons of promoters, some established, some overnight promoters, are coming now to put events within that carnival period. Ask yourself, why are they not doing these events in January and February? Why are they doing them in September, October, and November? They are doing them in the carnival period. But the CDC, they are reluctant to give CDC the due and the respect that they should get for organizing carnival. And the system has to be put in place where they should be paying a fee. And we have done a study, you know. We have the document that shows what takes place in the other islands. And we know that the promoters in the other islands do have to pay the body that organize carnival. So this is nothing new. So it should be done. And I'm hoping that it will be done yesterday.
Okay. Before, hold on. As a man who know my foot in everything. So I have a slightly different viewpoint from that. Especially when you're comparing us with other islands. We don't have the same struggles as other islands. You know? When you check, I know for a fact, because I network with other promoters. There are promoters in other islands, especially in their carnival periods. When they throw an event, before they sell one ticket, they have already broken even. They have already broken even based on the amount of sponsorship and so that they go into the event. That is not a reality here in St. Vincent. We know, to put it nicely, we have a very non-participatory private sector that, you know, we wish could have been more active like our neighbors. But that's not the reality. You know what I mean? We go in most, not even most, all events. And you know this even from CDC's point of view. CDC doesn't go into any event fully sponsored and fully covered in terms of expenses. It's not any different for a private promoter. You know? Before you can even break even, you already know that this is your number. You have to do X amount of tickets to break even before you start to see any profit beyond that. What we have to be careful in looking at outside and this, we have to look at our market and we have to evaluate things as it relates to us and the conditions and environment that we work in. Yes, it is more effective, it is more profitable for a man to do through an event in Carnival, yes. But we can't make it seem that it's almost a penalty or because at the end of the day, no, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, they also add to the Vincy Mas product. They also add to the Vincy Mas product. Because as much promotion as the CDC does put in, which we commend them for, a private promoter, and a lot of these private promoters do their own marketing, which reaches audiences that CDC's marketing does not reach. So we can't adopt a attitude or mentality that is going to
benefit from the Vincy Mas brand and product.
It is true.
Yeah,
but we have to realize that Vincy Mas is evolving, and a very strong part of that evolution is the private events. A very strong part of it, because we Mama Culture has been saying it for years. We have the hottest carnival. And it's only as of the last 3-4 years people realizing that. But she wasn't talking nonsense in truth, you know. A lot of our neighbors are now saying that, boy, Vinci Carnival really hot in truth, you know. You understand? And what we have to be mindful of, yes, they're gonna be vultures. You understand? But in trying to deal with the vultures, you also can't, you know what I mean? You can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that let's approach, let we take that approach cautiously, because we already been discussing that Juve bands having problems with financing, Monday bands having problems with financing. Why you think a private promoter having anything different? They are having the same struggles as anybody else. But adding on top of that, we already have VAT to pay. You already have, huh? But it's an expense that the promoter has to face.
But CDC is not the one who collects VAT.
Yeah, but it goes to the government, who gives CDC a subvention. You understand? So we have to be mindful of how we view. You know what I mean? Yes, there are some promoters that are more profitable than others. But remember, this is across the board, you know.
Okay.
The ones that are gonna hurt are not the successful ones.
Okay, let me hear Randy been looking to comment.
The reality is, right, I love the idea of having options. I love that idea. Because not 110,000 people, which is our population, are going to go to all CDC shows. Right? You have to create variety. But what I have an issue with, right, and it probably won't be the most popular statement, is that I think when we as CDC, because I'm a part of CDC, but as with extension in terms of the board, is sanctioning these permission, there must be some requirements. You know why? Because a lot of these private shows, they see a very good turnout. And if I could see my CDC logo, my Vinci Mass logo, or some elements of my components in your event, I would feel good. Because you know why? It has some events only have foreigners alone going to that, and there's no element of Vinci Mass in those events. You understand? I've gone to private shows in Trinidad, and I go see the Brabra man them in the event, the same private event, or I go see the Mass man them in the same private event, or I would see a rhythm section or pan side. But it doesn't change the turnout. It doesn't change the turnout. You understand? But I am saying it has to be a hand-in-hand thing. It has to be 50-50. The CDC sanction you your event, nothing wrong. I have never went to no private event here in St. Vincent and saw the CDC logo. As a sponsor, if you want to call it a sponsor, as a mean of promo, or I have never heard any DJ, any MC say, you know, and we want to thank the CDC, and we want to big up the CDC, and you know, tomorrow night we're going to Sokomanak, or tomorrow night we're going to steal. I've never heard it. You understand? I just think, with all due respect, that is nothing hard for them to do. You know what I mean? The CDC sanction your event. I mean, at least add some little elements of our carnival, because, you know, the next question is, and Miss B, I don't know if you remember, the very first panel we had, Lester, I asked, what is our carnival identity? I think that is the next level. People go to Grenada for what? Would they go to Trinidad for? You understand? We need, why are you coming to St. Vincent outside of, we have plenty energy. We have this carnival. What can we identify with? Very good mass men. Yes. Very good writers. But we need that carnival identity.
I agree with Rodney Small in the terms of the CDC logo not present at the private shows. I myself think that private promoters should also pay a tax. What it is, I can understand, Lester, if you just listen to me. What it is, I can understand from the private promoters now is that they don't see the separation from CDC and government. They see that they're paying VAT for government, which in turn, government should take that tax and give CDC.
It doesn't
right?
work like that.
That I'm talking about it from the promoter standpoint.
Right.
Because when I look at things, I look at things from two angles.
Right.
You understand? I look at things as two angles. But in my perspective, I think the promoters should pay at least whatever minimal fee to CDC in order to offset CDC. Well, it wouldn't offset CDC cost, but
because
just to facilitate, just be any facilitator,
right,
of whatever show they have it. But then again, the private promoters see it as, oh, they're paying VAT, so much of VAT, and they can't see the separation from CDC and government. Which I want to add also that the mandate of CDC, I think, needs to change. In that I don't take the mandate. If Madam Culture could correct me.
You are asking for a change of something. You enunciate the mandate for me now.
No, well, this is what I'm saying. I was wondering if Madam Culture would correct me if I'm wrong. But I understand the mandate. The mandate of CDC is to promote and to manage culture activities in St. Vincent. Am I wrong?
No.
Carnival.
To promote, manage, and operate the carnival festivities, and that is one of 20.
Right. Okay, right.
One of 20.
That main one I was really looking at, and I don't know, but I think CDC should run as a business. And
it should.
Here comes now the taxes and the private promoters.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
So that's Santana's.
Hold on, Lester. Hold
No,
on.
but I have to rebut him. As you have to rebut him, because I know you're going to rebut me too.
You get a chance. Yeah, you get a chance, Lester.
I'm saying to you.
You'll get your chance.
Right? And to all the listeners and all the people who have the opinion that you share, right? That this is something that needs to change. Okay? It has to change. You have private promoters doing events in St. Vincent. Do not include the main components of Carnival. No pan, no mass, no calypso. Fet. Are we going to take Vincy Mass and turn it into one big fet where we have different color fet every night of the week and we call that Carnival? Carnival will die if we do that. We as a CDC, while people may say, oh, CDC need to be profitable. How come? In order for you to be profitable, you have to get rid of certain things.
Yes.
And the CDC have a responsibility to preserve culture in St. Vincent. The private
Carnival
promoter
culture.
He doesn't care about culture.
Oh, no.
No, you hold on. You made your point. The private promoter cares nothing about culture or care very little. The CDC cannot get rid of Panorama because Panorama only
it's not
bring
profitable.
in X amount of positive profitable. We cannot get rid of Calypso because it's not profitable.
It doesn't fill the park.
But a private promoter could decide, I'm hiring this artist because he have a following and he could bring X amount of people. This artist is not on my show because he have no following. That is how a private promoter operates, and I cannot blame them. However, Rodney mentioned sanctioning by the CDC, and the public need to understand that every private show that takes place in St. Vincent during the period of the launch of Vincy Mass to Carnival Tuesday has to be sanctioned by the CDC. You cannot get permission from the police unless you have a sanction letter by the CDC. So the CDC sanctioning your events that are competing with our events that have been reducing our gate receipts, okay? But the CDC must find the money for prize giving ceremony, which will be held very soon. Which promoter contributes to the $500,000 that we have to pay for prizes come prize giving ceremony? Which promoter cares about whether the mass bands or the bills that CDC have to wait until next year when we get another subvention to pay off the bills from last year? No, it cannot work like that. I call them carnival vultures. And I could be quoted as such. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And it must stop.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
now,
go ahead.
as you hear you arguing two.
Sorry, just come back and listen to me, please.
Camera.
I walk with this. Focus on this to me, please. This is a list of events, and this is not all mine there. This is one side. This is the other side.
So those are all private.
This is the other side, right?
And those are what? Those are private
These
events?
are events.
Yeah.
There's a list of private and CDC events here.
Right.
But let me just run down on something. In the past, you would have had events at Victoria Park as Carnival and Uptown people line. People complain about the crowd at street bars right now, you know. But what is taking the crowd away from street bars? Private events. In the past, on a Carnival Monday, people would have been in town liming. This year, you had what? Bacchanal Monday, right? I talking about events during the week of Carnival. Bacchanal Monday, 2nd July. On the Tuesday, we had Junior Calypso. We had I Love Rum, private event. On the Wednesday, we had Bun Walk, right? And Dirty Sexy Soca. On the Thursday, we had Steel and Glitter. And then we also had Anti-Stoosh and we had Pumping, private events. On the Friday, we had Ever 4.1. We had Color Fest. You understand? And it goes on. It even gone so far now that on Soca Monarch, we have private events as well. 4 big events on Soca Monarch. You understand? Some persons do not go to Soca Monarch after they go to these events. We go say that the festival is evolving. That's fine. But there must be a fee being paid by these people for the shortfall of funds generated at CDC events.
Okay.
Well, I'm not even calling it a shortfall. It's not a shortfall. When you want to drive your car on the road, tell me what do you do?
Yeah, you have to
When you want to reverse and go down the road, what do?
You have to be licensed.
And they want to open here. I see you have a license class. What and what?
You have to be licensed.
Hey, this is a woman property. She can choose to do what she wants to do with it.
Operate.
Government can't tell her what to do with it. She can choose to do with it, but she has to comply. Planning permission, license permission, public health permission, labor department that she's not paying people under the Vinlec Water Authority.
See,
let's stop waiting for a while.
That's a short point, right?
Yes,
I see something,
he gets
a statement always float around that CDC need to up their game to compete with these private promoters.
CDC is
now,
not for profit.
Mama Culture and Santana now mentioned something that is important. The mandate of the CDC is different. And every promoter, every events manager, every production person always have to up their game when you're dealing with production.
Exactly.
But the mandate of CDC is different. The CDC could say, okay, all right, fine. Forget Mass, forget Pan, forget Calypso, forget Soca. I gotta bring in Marshall Montano, I gotta bring in Super Blue, I gotta bring in Born in Flames, and forget about the components, but the mandates are different. CDC is not really here to make a profit. You understand? So the mandate and the reasoning is different than a private promoter, and we have to understand that. Yes, I would agree that there are things that CDC can enhance.
Of course.
You understand? But the mandate is different.
It's different.
A private
It's not
promoter,
the
all
same.
you need to do is make sure that the tickets themselves, make sure you have best entertainment, and you're done, and you make a profit.
And a good bar.
But CDC have so many things to really think about and put in place.
And not just for main events. You have all the rural carnivals that you're trying to help develop. You're trying to develop the rural artists. You're trying to bring in, have a calypso show, a different thing, and so all those other things. They don't have to do that. Hire a venue, some security guards, make sure you have a good band, and you have the artists, and that's it.
Yeah.
And when you finish, you walk to the back. No, you don't walk. You slide to the bank. Smiling.
Yeah, smiling.
And you can't tell me if you make over $400,000, you're not smiling. You're not going to go down the cemetery and grieve. You ain't doing it.
Lester, you've waited
Finish.
patiently.
Patiently like Bob Marley, you know.
Lester.
Patiently.
No.
He's a merchant.
I just want to correct the view that promoters don't want to pay, or well, I can speak for all of them.
As you
right?
think is only one person ever paid, slippery when wet.
Right? My point is,
Only one. Came forward
we
and
are at
offered
a
help
unique
I
point
think it's something
where
we can.
we have seen a huge boost towards Vincy Mars, right? But what we cannot forget, because I have to be, no, I'm different from some of the people that you can criticize, because I am passionate about the components. You catch? I'm uniquely placed where I can see both arguments. You check?
Yeah.
I'm involved in Pan, I'm involved in Soca, Calypso, Mass. I stopped the Juve because that ain't making no sense for me right at this point in time. But it's something that I still would want to have my feet in, given the opportunity. So you can't say I'm not passionate about the whole culture of Carnival. That is dead wrong. But at the other side, I'm also seeing as a promoter, because I've promoted events, and I know the hardships. And from the outset, a lot of people only see the successful events. A lot of promoters have to go 3, 4, 5 years of losses before they start to turn over profit.
Different.
Hold on, wait. No, but hold on. But you just said CDC is a non-profit. Why are you arguing losses? Hear what I am saying. I am not saying that there's more that can be added. You made an argument about the inclusion of components within. I have no problem with that. I am. Hold on. Ezzy, hold on. I give you a chance. Ezzy, hold on. I give you a chance. I give you a chance. That is why you are CDC. There's nothing stopping you from having a little meeting with promoters. Hold on. Hear me out. Bring in a couple of them. You understand? It just has to. You just have to get it done effectively with one, You don't have to aim for all of them,
you
you know.
talk, you talk.
Hold on. I'm just throwing out my idea.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
One person just has to see it, and then everybody realize, you know what? There's actually a nice road that we could go down, you know. You understand? I'm just throwing out ideas. Number 2, was Soca Monarch semi-finals profitable for the CDC?
I don't know as it is right now. In terms of the gate to see the expenditure, I don't have
No, you
access
won't
to
know
that
that
right
now.
now as we speak. But I will know eventually, but I don't know right now.
Okay. Now, the reason why I bring up that, Evo is also a new initiative by the CDC, which also helps generate revenue. True? No, I say this to say,
But this is revenue. You have to look at the other side of the page.
what is stopping, if we are really using the basis of this revenue, why can't the CDC be more revenue oriented? Like, for example, there's an idea that I've been, hold on, no, hear what I'm saying, but do it in such a way. I'm not saying that we're not eventually going to get to a licensing fee position, you know. I am just saying the people that are going to be hurt.
And you're not against.
I'm not against that. I'm not against that. No, hold on, Santana.
Listen to what he's
Hold
saying.
on. I am saying, because the persons that are going to be affected by it, you know, and not the people them who, as he's talking about, you know. You understand? It's the guys them who have the Niana law who going to bring out a new. You understand?
T-shirt,
a man who want to do a little t-shirt, man. A man who want to do a little this. A man might have an idea. Rodney might say, you know what I mean? We could do a Juve thing, you know. But let we make it more cultural than what? They have more obstacles to face than a man like Luke.
But how do you know that we will not exclude Juve bands and t-shirt bands?
Yeah, but then you see, but this
But
is what.
if we want to encourage more people to bring Juve band and t-shirt band, we wouldn't
band,
want
you
to
don't
charge
get
them.
Yeah, but then,
We would want
but there's a
to offer
slippery
them
slope.
incentive for them to come.
Building the tradition.
But
all of that is
on a
private.
point of order, you know when the t-shirt bands came back? You remember who brought the first t-shirt band back? After
The CDC had to bring
No, I-
the CDC
we had to
bring
hire
a
the
t-shirt
truck
band.
along with Lotto.
But I'm all for that. I'm not. Don't get my argument as a discreditation or trying to pull down the CDC or what they're doing or what they're trying to do in any way, shape, or form. You know. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that we just have to be careful that we don't implement things that are more damaging than they are
Nobody will do
helping.
that.
That's what I'm.
You
That's
know,
all I'm
nobody
saying.
will do that.
Number 2, I have been from the day they made that decision. I have been an advocate supporter that Raga Soca Monarch and Soca Monarch should never have been amalgamated as one show. Because in my opinion and from my
There
standpoint,
used to be
as
one
a
show by itself.
as a
Each of them one
promoter,
show by themselves.
I'm seeing 2 very successful shows where the CDC can generate a lot of revenue from.
No. Splitting.
Eh?
No. There used to be separate, you know. There were two separate shows.
I know. But the Raga Soca Monarch
shows, why would we merge them if both of them are successful? Why
when
would we merge?
Raga Soca Monarch, when was the last Raga Soca Monarch show that was held without a foreign act?
We never
So
had.
you're saying that our Raga Soca, we can have Raga Soca, but it must have a foreign act?
No, but
Have
that's
you been
not. I'm not the one.
disappointed by foreign acts coming
Hold
in
on,
and
Ezzy.
acting
Hold on,
the way
Ezzy.
you
You're not
expect?
hearing what I said. I'm asking the question because I can't remember, separate from when Raga Soca was not in Carnival, where a foreign act wasn't booked for the show. We had Conscience, Vegas, and so people who would command 14,000 US upwards fee, performance fee.
Nah.
Yeah, but how many Raga Soccas before that did we have?
Listen,
I'm
we
saying.
have Raga Soca Monarch semi-finals with foreign artists that were not successful.
So why the same
So
way?
are you suggesting we should continue
the same way that we always argue, calypso competitions is not a profitable show, and so forth. Why couldn't we hold on to it? Because right now it is in a position where, if it's put on its own, it will be a highly successful show and would be the number 2 revenue generator for the CDC. Raga Soca Monarch.
Why you say that?
Why?
Because it's the reality. If you look just from, but it's true. If you
Yeah,
look,
but let's start. Look at look at the time, right? Look at the time Raga Soca start and look at the crowd in park at Raga
Which is
Soca.
true. And look at
So
the
we can
level.
debate that, eh?
But you can also equate it from the number of Raga Soca's that were being produced in comparison to Power Soca at that same time.
No, but I'm talking about now. But I am saying to you at 9, 10 o'clock at a shows committee member, right? It's really 12, after 12 minutes to 1, we start seeing a massive crowd.
But my point is, so
if we put
what you're
Raga
saying,
Soca on its own, I'm not saying we can't, I'm saying there's some more logistics and
but,
some more
but that's
marketing.
the job, that's the work about.
Yeah, but if we have something that is
saying,
working, why changing? I try to understand why are you saying to go
so,
back to it?
So you're saying,
own.
hold on. So who is it working for? First of all, who is it working for? CDC
and CDC.
The patrons.
Yeah.
You just said that the patrons coming in at that time, half the Raga Soca already done gone.
But what I'm saying, so you think I'm trying to
exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is right now the way Raga Soca is positioned in the competition, and because of the timing, as you just said yourself, it is not been. It's not a spotlight. It's not highlighted.
So you're saying.
I'm
So I'm asking the question. Why are you saying to put it on its own? What have you seen to say that it could stand on its own?
Because you can hear the chatter, you can hear the enthusiasm and support for these songs. A majority of people. There is nobody there is nobody right now who is passionate about a Power Soca song who isn't passionate about a Raga Soca song.
Okay, but we have now moved into discussing CDC's program and something that we could look at for next year going forward. We have moved away from the discussion on the fees, right? And let me go back to that because I like this topic. I like it.
I know you like it. I know you like it.
As a matter of fact, I think I love it.
Before you go, but let's start. I ain't hear nobody talking about Trinidad following. Trinidad had 2 Soca acts. Now Trinidad only have 1.
And next year they might have none. So that's the road we're going to follow. That's what we're going to follow.
I like your response, Lester.
Time are going to we would soon have to, because we have about 3 more minutes left.
Why next year Trinidad may have none? Why? Answer.
Well, that is Trinidad logistics to figure
No,
out.
but you sound confident that next year they may have none. I know you know why.
No, but
because private events in Trinidad have killed Soca Monarch.
Private. No. Trinidad is a population of 1-point-something million people.
All right, let me come back to my
and
original
if
point
you are going to say that private events were always there.
But why decline?
Listen.
So let's
let me go back to my point. Let me go back to my point. In terms of private promoters, we heard earlier on statement being made that they do their own marketing and they have reach. I am suggesting this tax by the CDC, we don't have mandate over the entire year. We have mandate between the launch of Vincy Mars and Carnival Tuesday. Any entity that they think that their marketing reach is so strong and so powerful, then you can bring your people to St. Vincent in October or November. There's a guy in Union Island, a little committee who started something last year called Utopia Festival. And the intention is to bring yachties and so on to Union Island and they start a little festival down there. And I applaud these guys. They're not owners of radio station or anything of the sort, but they're taking that initiative. The people who think that they could bring thousands of people here, we welcome another festival outside of that period. And you will not have to pay.
Yeah.
The license fee that we are talking about will not be for the entire year.
But
so
that's apples and oranges.
Feel free.
Yachties are already there in Union Island. That's like taxing them because they have yachties.
That in terms of the suggestion made by Lester about inviting private promoter and raising the suggestion to them, every private promoter knows that Pan Mass and Calypso, they are an integral part of Vincy Mars. Nobody has to call a private promoter to tell him, have them included. They can use the initiative and do it. I actually approached the promoters of Slippery When Wet 3 years ago. And I approached them for sponsorship of Central Leeward Carnival because that event is in Central Leeward.
Yes,
okay, as a rural carnival, and they agreed to sponsor them. They wrote a check.
Wonderful.
We took some photos and we handed over the check. Only private promoter sponsored a rural
That's a good way
carnival.
to give back.
Central Leeward,
Slippery When Wet.
Right? And in addition to that, I further made the request for Pan, Mass and Calypso to be included in their event. They actually had a pan side playing at the entrance. I suggested to them, put a pan side at the entrance. You could even get some boa man dancing. So your experience of Slippery When Wet start at the entrance up by the main road.
Yes.
Right? That was done and I asked them to have the band from Central Leeward, a band called Leeward International. That was the first year they're coming into existence, and I asked them to get some those people to be included. They had some girls in costume and so on at the actual function. You understand? And that was done. Other promoters can do likewise. As you said, it only need to be done once. It was done. I initiated it, and no other
we
promoter
applaud.
followed.
We applaud that, and
no other promoter followed. Didn't know it was done because it was in the newspaper.
But Ezzy, we're not saying no. But I can tell you this, that as it relates to the rural the carnivals, a lot of the rural committees are viewed as private promoters. Hold on,
Lester.
hold on.
I'm glad you mentioned Rural Carnival. Hold on, I'm going back to private promoters again. This year, this 2018, a Rural Carnival asked a certain radio station because the radio station showed interest in being a part of that Rural Carnival for the Juve. Okay? When the folks call me and say they getting an interest expressed, they expressing an interest in being a part of our carnival. Let's see at what level. What are they willing to do? Once it's okay, once it's fair, go right ahead. They call back, they said they want to be a part of Juve. This is what they were offering. They will provide 2 DJs and they will provide radio advertising. That's it. So the same truck that you're talking about that cost money, they were not willing to contribute to the payment of the truck. I said to the guys, ask them to provide payment, cover the truck, at least $2,000.
That's not the point I made.
Refused, that radio station refused
that's
to
not
contribute $2,000.
I am not a radio station. That is not my thing.
Runs a lot of events in Carnival and make money. $2,000 is nothing. But vultures.
Ezzy, who keeps the profit from a rural carnival?
This is something that will certainly go on with forever.
All right, then.
I know that.
All right, that's a different conversation for another day.
Yeah. There are arguments on both sides. There are merits on both sides of the conversation, as always. And it is certainly a conversation that is necessary, and I am certain would continue beyond our program today. I know that maybe after Lester and Ezzy will continue this conversation, even after this program. So I just want to again thank you, the panelists, for taking the time out to come and share this program with us today to really make the program what it has been. It has been a really good discussion. And for the, Randin says heated, but certainly also special thanks to our sponsors and those of you who followed us on Facebook Live. This is Marlon Joseph setting off from the program, and I had Randin who hosted today and got to meet and ask questions of one of our idols, Mr. Rene Batiste. So see you guys next week.
Boy. Yes? If we go over time?
Party mash up, bring the rum machine. Everybody, jump somebody.
This is not a beer commercial. It's not a Carnival commercial either.
It's a story about a festival that was born out of conflict,
Where Africans, Indians, the British, indigenous peoples,
and the French
somehow dismantled their differences to show rare unity and rare beauty.
Such a precious gift must have its caretakers, and around here we do take care.
When it was just an idea
or a plan,
A struggling community,
and an idea of cultural unity, we were there.
and we still are there.
In the sweat,
The tears, the laughter,
and the July sun, it's in our fabric.
our founding to protect and support the very same idea.
Of unity behind our many faces.
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
Haroon is Carnival.
Love up your pan now. Hey, hey, oi, hey, oi, oi. For the love of pan. Oi, oi, oi. Hey, hey. If music done in deep pan yard, this vibes it feeling so contagious. Them judges really have it hard. Them bands really come out to play now. I hearing a tenor beating. Hot guitar playing, I hearing a bassline pumping. Listen one, I hearing a tenor beating. Hot guitar playing, I hearing a bassline pumping. Listen one,
This is our island,
Our people.
our beer.
High Room is Carnival.